Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 12 of Passion Project, the variety show that encourages anyone in the speedrun community to showcase the projects that they've been working on. My name is Amber Cyprin. I will be your host tonight, I encourage everyone in the if I can words, you can tell I've been off for a month, right? I encourage everyone in the speedrun community to send me your runs to showcase the projects you've been up to, so whether it's your current favorite game to grind, a new category or game you've been routing out, a finished task you'd like to show off, randomizers, bingos, you name it, I want it. You can submit to the show using the !passion command in the chat and following the link to my submission form. Before we get started with the run that we have planned for tonight, we do have a few announcements. First and foremost, Flame Fatales is Games Done Quick's all-women online speedrunning community. Their next event, Flame Fatales, kicks off this Sunday, August 13th, and runs through August 20th. The schedule is now out at gamesdonequick.com/schedule. And Games Done Quick is hiring, so if you have experience in social media creation and you want to help out at our live events, be sure to go to gamesdonequick.com/jobs to apply. So tonight here on Passion Project, we're returning from our vacation and we are ready with an awesome SpongeBob SquarePants multi-game speedrun. And that's right, we're looking at not one, not two, but 3 SpongeBob SquarePants games in a row. I'm joined by Jack Aleka and his commentary crew as we bring you the SpongeBob Heavy Iron Trilogy. Thank you all for being on the show, and Jack, how are you doing tonight?
Really good. Heavy Iron, no major skips is what we're going to be running today. It's one of my favorite categories, one of my favorite ways to play the 3 Heavy Iron SpongeBob games, so I'm super excited to do this run. We're going to be doing it basically SpongeBob movie, no major glitches, with Truth or Square, any percent no level skip glitch, into BFBB or Battle for Bikini Bottom 90%, all back to back in one run. We're going to take a few breaks in between, but we're just going to be going through it all tonight and for Heavy Iron, no major skips. So I'm super excited. And I'm just going to pass it off to my commentators to introduce themselves.
All right, I am a Bubble Bass, also known as Sam by the community. I'm a Heavy Iron runner, mostly for the movie game and also Truth or Square.
I'm Cornbread Snake. I also am a Heavy Iron runner, the only person who's actually done the 100% version of this run. But I mostly run movie and toss as well.
And I'm Jaxler. I've been a part of the SpongeBob community since 2015, mostly focused on movie, no pause storage, and Truth or Square, no LSG. So we're all really excited to be here. We get to show off some really sick categories that you don't get to see as much, so this is super exciting.
Yeah, and this is like a relatively, like we've had the SpongeBob boards for quite a while now, but we have recently added no major skips as a category to give a bit of a spotlight to some other categories, such as like basically any percent no LSG and Truth or Square and no major glitches in movies. So gonna get to see a ton of cool stuff, but I think we're ready to go, so we're good for a countdown whenever.
Yeah, go ahead and count us in, and we'll get started on the timer.
Sounds good. Timing starts when I press no on autosave, so we're going to go in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck, Jack.
Good luck. Thanks, guys. Appreciate
Good
it.
luck.
So for those who haven't played the SpongeBob movie game for Xbox, PS2, or GameCube, it basically just kind of loosely follows the plot of the movie, and we start out with the level No Cheese, just kind of an introductory level that we have to essentially just get to the Krusty Krab, and we're going to have a little bit of speed tech here. We're going to skip over this crate section by grabbing onto this ledge. Sometimes you can kind of like jump on the ledge just to avoid the ledge grab, but I missed it. It's all good. And I'm going to do a little slide skip right here. I'm going into this rock right here to store a bit of momentum on the slide. I'm going to use that to jump all the way over to this platform, because normally what you have to do is you have to hit the button down there, wait for the platform to go down, but we can just skip over that. Then I'm going to do a double jump spin right here to grab onto this ledge, and we are going to be finishing up with no cheese. So I'm just going to be going for a token frame if one of you guys want to talk about token frames.
Yeah, I got it. So what Jack is going to be attempting to do here is skip the sort of token grab animation by using something called a lag buffer, and he got it there. So what he's doing is he's double tapping the select button to quickly open and close the upgrade menu, which causes a boatload of lag. There's a 2-frame window in this game where if you press pause, right as you're about to collect one of the Goofy Goober tokens, it will allow you to open the menu while still registering the collectible. And so by lag buffering it, it makes that window a lot more generous. So right here, we're going to see one of the early run killers here called Chocolate Creek Early. He has to do another one of those spins off the side of a platform to give him a little bit of extra distance into a double jump. Now, Patrick can't spin midair in this game, so that makes it a little bit tricky. So he grabs the edge right there. He's going to move over to the side. General theme with the SpongeBob Heavy Iron games is that if you walk into like water or goo or something like that, it will try to bounce you back to a safe location you were previously at. So Jack takes advantage of that property by setting his safe spot a little bit further down that platform and then using the momentum from the damage boost to go up to those buttons. Now, those buttons can only be hit once you unlock Sonic Wave Guitar as SpongeBob, or technically you can do it with Patrick's upgraded throw. But you're not supposed to be at this point in the game yet. And the big reason why this is important, especially for this category, is it lets us get a second token before we get to Mindy. So this way we can automatically grab the cartwheel upgrade without having to do the I'm Ready Depression's combat challenge objective, which is normally what's casually intended. And so because of that, he doesn't have to do a Goofy Goober token that would normally take about a minute to complete. And so he's going to immediately get cartwheel. This is an upgrade that Patrick gets that's exclusive to this game, and when Jack holds down the B button, he gets to move really fast, and it's going to be the fastest form of movement with Patrick, and so, of course, it's really important too. Technically, you don't really need it, but it's really fast, so you want to grab it. And so right there... Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, like, cartwheel is also really helpful as far as just like extending your jumps, because you can cartwheel off like a ledge or a platform and maintain your double jump as you fall, which is really helpful in a lot of cases.
All right, so Jack's going for a skip there. That's actually a lot harder than it looks. He gets a ledge grab on the side of the lamp. He's going for another lag buffer token warp right there. So if you don't get it, usually what happens is if you start the lag buffer too late, you'll just grab the token and get interrupted before you can pause away. But one of the key themes, you'll see this a lot in this game as well as in Battle, is that when you grab a token, you can immediately warp to somewhere different in the level. And so what Jack does is he warps back to the start of the level. He's going to do a slope jump off the side first try. That's going to get into the end of the level.
Very nice.
That setup was so cursed. I'm so shocked I got that. Usually you kind of want to like be in the corner of the railing there, but I just like completely was off to the side and somehow still worked.
Yeah, that first level in general is a pretty common reset machine, just because a lot of the tricks there are pretty precise. And now we're going to be going into our first driving level here, so this would be probably a good time to maybe talk about the version differences. I don't know if somebody would be better to explain that than me.
As far as like the version differences go for movie, it's mainly based on kind of frame rate in some cases, which makes some of the tricks later in the run a little bit easier, like 2-frame jumps for slides. But one of the biggest differences, and one of the it's really weird, the driving speed of the paddy wagon is faster on different versions of the game. So, I did not mean to use the nitro there.
Yeah, you can make that up.
Yeah, the GameCube version is the fastest as far as the paddy wagon speeds go, making it the optimal choice for IL speedruns of sandwich driving.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I would say another difference that we won't really see in this run because it's Jack's running on an OG Xbox, but on the 360 variant, not only is that your slower driving speeds the GameCube, but you also gain more height off certain ramps and stuff like that, so we can lose time that way. It's also a bit slower than the original Xbox.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
It's worth noting as well that when you play on a 360, the game lags less because you're on better hardware. And so the lag buffer tech that Jack is going to be using all over the place to set up those token warps is actually not really viable on Xbox 360. So that's another big reason why we're playing this. And we'll play Battle for Bikini Bottom on original Xbox as well, but that's for different reasons.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like another kind of version difference between like Battle and movie and how we speedrun is that we actually play movie on disc, or like the original disc, and we play Battle for Bikini Bottom on hard disk drive. So we like not USB load it. We load it on like the hard disk drive. So it's gonna kind of make some of the tricks in that run like not viable, like lag clipping, but we'll be doing a different route to kind of make it work for HDD. But yeah, sandwich driving's honestly like I love this level. It's just a nice kind of like chill break just to before you get into the really intense stuff in mid game, which you'll see. We call it the gauntlet. But,
yeah.
Yeah, nitro management is so huge in sandwich driving. I'm really trying to use the nitros at very specific points. A lot of people might think that it kind of works like the mushrooms in Mario Kart, but as Jaxler has explained to me over the years, the nitros actually just kind of help you maintain max speed for your, the paddy wagons. So it's really helpful to go over, basically the rough terrain of the sand with the nitros, or if you're going around a corner, helping you maintain max speed. But yeah, now we're going into 3K, which is one of my favorite levels, and it's going to be the first instance of bash boosting. Basically, like as we talked about, when you jump into something like the goo or these spikes right here, the game tries to knock you back to its previous position on the ground. And if we hold Y, it basically buffers the bash input that we just, or the bash ability that we just unlocked on the first frame after the damage animation. And similar to what you'll see in battle, the frame after the damage animation, it thinks that SpongeBob is in a grounded state, which allows you to activate something like a double jump, or in this case, a bash boost, in midair.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know how to feel about that.
There's a huge debate over left side or right side on that platform.
I did not know you were left game.
Unbelievable.
I know.
I think we're all right gangers here, except for Jack.
We've already caused some controversy now.
Yeah, so right there, he's going to do a bash boost. That's actually a pretty significant get, which allows him to avoid some of the steam vent platforming. And then we'll go into bounceless here, see if he hits this. Nice.
Very nice. Yeah, so that is a 4-frame window to pause as the button is activating, and you actually can warp away, and the token still spawns. The whole point of warping away is to skip a cutscene. It's a different route variation you can do here. Because you actually normally skip bouncing on trampolines. That's why we call it bounceless.
And so right here, what you're seeing is something called the dive glitch, which is present both in this game and in Battle for Bikini Bottom, where if SpongeBob gets stuck under something as the bungiee's trying to pull him back towards the top, SpongeBob can basically dive infinitely over and over with some restrictions, and you can use that to achieve some really fast cycles in bungee. We'll see that again once we get to Battle for Bikini Bottom, but we have a couple of bungee objectives as well, and I'm going to pass this one over to Sam because this trick's hype.
Yeah, so we're about to do steamed early. It's a very cool out of bounds trick we can do here. Normally this token is something we have to do as Patrick, but if we go out of bounds, they immediately left a little gap in the water here that we can go underneath the floor. And we're going to go out of bounds, and we land these very small rocks on the outside of this tunnel here and do some more bash boosts. And the trick is a lot harder than it looks. Like it looks pretty simple, but all around this entire area is a bunch of death planes and also areas that infinitely void out. And to get back in bounds, we're going to have to do a precise ledge grab here, which can be a bit finicky at times.
Nice. That's going to be first try. So you have to you have to very carefully manage your HP there, otherwise you just explode. And then nice got right into token. Sweet.
Yeah, we think we have just enough XP or HP to do that trick.
There's just random spots there with the cactus hitboxes that'll just send you up instead of sending you back to your previous position. So you really have to be cognizant of where you're jumping to. Yeah, but now we're going to the first SpongeBob arena, and for people who have played Battle for Bikini Bottom, this probably looks a little bit familiar. In the movie, they expanded upon the SpongeBob ability into its own kind of level arenas, and there's going to be 4 of them that we do in this run, and this is the first of them. They're all very cycle based, so as long as you hit the cycle, you're pretty much all good. Sometimes if you're off cycle, you can lose a ton or get hit off by one of these windmill thingies.
And Jack's going to be going for token warps off the first 3 of them. Interestingly, for whatever reason, these specific sections run at a pretty high frame rate, so you can't really lag buffer to set up these token warps. So you essentially have to go for the 2-frame window to activate the trick. But the nice thing is if he doesn't get it and he just misses the pause, what he can end up doing is in SpongeBob sections, he has free movement, so he can just pause and then leave anyway, and that allows him to warp to somewhere different instead of the default spawn location for that challenge. And that's actually really important because when he picked up the steamed early token, he also unlocked its warp point, which now allows him to warp further into the level, skipping a good section of it. And then right here, we're going to go into the floating block challenge, which I love the floating block challenges in this game because it's all Patrick movement, and you get to really see the good use of that cartwheel here.
Yeah. Jax was the one guy who really optimized a lot of the floating block levels.
Yeah, sorry. I created some. Yeah, I'm sorry. I created some real cursed paths through here. And it's kind of interesting how routes have kind of started to evolve for this game. Jack doesn't go for it, and generally you don't want to do these. You can go for token warps off of tokens in these levels, but it's kind of risky because unlike the SpongeBob levels, you are forced to watch like the load back into the level if you miss it. So generally you don't go for them in marathon runs such as this. But that being said, there are some routes that are being done now in sort of modern movie, if you will, which is kind of a funny phrase to say, but where you go for the where you get the warp for the floating block, and then you come back later to go for the token warp, and it's just like a 5-6 second thing, but it's like little optimizations like that you can go for. Very critically here, Jack is purposely doing cartwheels on these bubbles. This ensures that he's on the platform for at least one frame because of a property in this game and battle called a one-frame jump, where if you jump the frame that you land on the ground, you don't get your double jump back, and that is a very bad thing to happen in that section. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah, it can mess up your movement so bad. I'm gonna do another bash boost right here to skip over this arena fight right here.
Nice.
Those are kind of like the enemy duplicatotrons or like enemy spawners, but we can just go out of bounds to finish 3K real quick. So I'm just gonna hit these buttons. If you do it real quick, you essentially like immediately grab the
token. Nice.
And I'm hoping that I don't get hit by the spitter enemy.
Yeah, make sure you move out of the way if you can.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, right, that's right. You can't move out of the way if you do it like that.
Forgot about that. But so that'll make a cycle later in the run a little bit more difficult, but that's fine. But right now we have our first sliding level. We got Rubadub, Rubadub 1, and the objective of this one is to essentially like hit these 5 towers with the targets to free a path to get to the end of the Okie Dokie Corral. But we can just kind of like skip over a few of them using a couple skips. The first one's going to be Dumb Jump, which is a fan favorite in the movie community. It's worth noting. Oh yeah,
I was just gonna. Crap. Go ahead.
So basically, we have a new way of doing Rubadub, where you jump like immediately at the start over to the end of the level, and it saves like a minute and a half. But instead, we're gonna do Dumb Jump right here. That's very precise. I always get so nervous doing that.
Yeah. This is kind of.
You go, Jackson.
I was just going to say, this level is kind of where the route for no major glitches starts to differentiate between no pause storage, which is kind of our primary category, like our closest in any percent. Any percent for this game has a duplication glitch that you can do. That's really rad, but it forces you to replay levels over and over. So that's part of the reason why sort of this version of the No Major Glitches trilogy run exists. And so he does another skip right there, nicely done. There's going to be some invisible enemies here that he has to sort of weave around because when you do Dumb Jump first try, it causes some things to unload. So there's just going to be a target that he's just going to hit even though it's not loaded in, which is really funny. But yeah, so the reason
so cursed in the speedrun.
Yeah, the reason why he's not going for the skip, well, he's not going to go for the skip in this run just for marathon safety because it is pretty difficult to line up consistently. But on top of that, you don't normally you do this level first pass as normal because in No Major Glitches compared to no pause storage, we need an extra 9 Goofy Goober tokens to complete the route. And we're going to be coming back here to do a ring challenge as well as Macho Time Challenge. And if you don't set the... Oh, wait, are we not getting those?
Yeah.
No, that's not in No Major Glitches.
Oh, I thought it was.
That's all the major glitches.
Oh, I'm okay.
That was pre BVH backwards.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay. I just got knowledge checked right there. That's brutal.
The reason to not do the skip is to get more manlies because the manly route in mid game is extremely tight if you skip the whole level.
Yeah.
You can't get enough for the upgrades, which loses a lot of time if you don't have the upgrades.
Oh yeah, for reference, the main like currency in this game is manliness points that we are kind of collecting as we go.
All right, so we're going to be a bit quiet here for Jack. He's going for some 2-frame window jumps up this slide here, and then I'll explain what's going on.
Jumping, jumper, jumper, room!
Nice.
That should be good.
So it might not have looked like all that much, but Jack needed to do a series of 2-frame window jumps in order to go up that slide the opposite direction. And the way that this level and a lot of levels in movie work is that they wrap around on themselves. And so the end level for here is like the ambush is right in the starting room. So if you go up that tube, you can actually hit the trigger to cause the ambush to appear and just grab the token and complete the level instantly. So we are going to go back to that level later in the route because once we grab the Sonic Wave Guitar upgrade later on, it'll auto unlock for us a warp at the end of Bubble Blowing Baby Hunt that we can use to essentially loop through the level backwards, which is called BBBH backwards, and it's really hype. So look forward to that. But now we're in no weenie parking. If someone wants to take this,
Yeah, well, I'll take this, but I also want to cover real quick about. I don't know if you guys noticed, but in BBBH, Jack actually upgraded his cartwheel ability. That's very important throughout the run. Is that the reason we're grabbing manliest points is that they allow us to upgrade all of our powers. And upgrade cartwheel is super important just because it kills enemies really quickly. And we'll also be upgrading our bowl, which we'll get later, and our like pretty much every ability except for health. Essentially, we'll be upgrading because
and bash
very fast
because we don't talk
and no spin.
Oh yeah.
Never want to upgrade Bash in a run. That's a common mistake that we've all had.
Yeah,
it's kind of a rite of passage to lose a run at some point to upgrading the wrong thing.
Yeah, everyone's done at least once. Yeah, that's how you know you're a movie runner when you upgraded the wrong thing and had to reset a run. Essentially the goal of this level, though, is that we do take 3 laps at this level, but we need to get 5 keys. It's 5 keys, right?
Yes, 5.
Yep.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm not getting that wrong.
All good.
Yeah, but there's 5 keys to the level that we want to get, and it opens up the gate right at the start of the level. Because you can see as we go past early on, we saw the finish line right at the start, but that gate is locked, so we have to get all 5 keys. And unfortunately, we have to take new paths open up each lap. So we have to actually, the last key we can grab is only available on lap 3, except if you do an out-of-bounds trick, but we would not be doing that.
Yeah. It's really interesting there as well, because for that key specifically, in other categories, it's actually faster to take the hidden shortcut and then turn around to grab that key. But Jack actually goes through that path in order to blow up a massive stack of crates there in order to, again, make up for that manliness route because we're going to be running on such deficit in this category.
I usually just call that the no weenie parking money strat because it does give you a lot. It's really helpful for
the Jack-a-lacka money strat.
Second doing the key like that.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna. I tried to make sure I had like enough nitros to really just kind of use them all the way up to this ramp. There's essentially some triggers in the level to make sure you go around no weenie parking 3 times for this ramp to come by. But yeah, we're just gonna warp out of this and then start backtracking for sandwich driving. So we're gonna be doing what we call like sandwich driving 102, where we're gonna do the time challenge, ring challenge, macho time challenge. And yeah, I feel like this is a good time to just kind of talk about like the multiple SpongeBob game sports in general, because I feel like it's had just like a pretty interesting history. Because it started with like the inaugural run was by our good friends Bennett and Tedious, and they did heavy iron any percent back then. That was like really like the only category that we had at the time, and that like seeing them do that was just like, it just made me feel like I really want to pick up Truth or Square, because I had already like played like Battle and you know Movie at that point, but I really wanted to learn Truth or Square so I could do heavy iron runs. And I just remember reaching out to Jaxler before we really knew each other to ask like, you know, like if there were any resources to learning it. He helped me out, learned the run, and I remember my first heavy iron 80% run was with my good friend Jessway. And we just had like an absolute blast running it, and it's just become like one of my favorite categories ever since. And since we've done that, like Cornbread's hopped in on the runs, and we've just gotten like a ton of, you know, people wanting to, you know, try and learn the other categories, which has been really cool as far as bridging the, you know, the different heavy iron communities together, which just makes me really happy because they're just 3 fantastic speedruns.
Very well said.
Yeah.
Multi-game boards have also expanded since to have a few other studios in there too.
Yeah, I think there's like a Way
Specifically
Forward.
Way Forward. WayForwards and Blitz's SpongeBob games
Yeah.
have been added.
Yeah,
Way Forward being the GBA games and Blitz being Creature
Atlantis,
and
SquarePants.
Creature Atlantis. Yeah.
duology.
Yeah. There is a
Yeah.
third game in the series, but we ignore it.
I don't even remember what it is. Which one is it?
Actually, is there 4? Or am I mistaken?
The third game Sam's referring to is Surf and Skate Road Trip for the Kinect on Xbox 360. Not a fun game.
I know
Yeah.
someone
And
who
then
wrote
there's
the
a fourth
Kinect
one.
game. I don't recommend it.
Yeah.
It's not okay.
Yeah, it's not great. But there is a fourth game, which was a Xbox 360. What was it called? Arcade game.
Yeah.
Digital only, called Underpants Slam. That was also made by Blitz. But those aren't included in the runs because they're not nearly as popular to speedrun.
What time's he gonna get? 2:30?
2:30?
Oh, 2:31.
If
Still-
the bonk, it would have been at 2:30.
That's still really, really good for SD102.
I
Yeah.
made it my mission to try and prove 229 was possible on OG Xbox without like any skips, because there are a few out of bounds skips that you can do. I never got it, unfortunately, but I still hold that hope out. But yeah. Oh, I also forgot to mention. I forgot to mention as far as like shouting out Heavy Iron Runners, Purple Foundation, who for those in the movie community definitely know Purple, current record holder of many of the categories.
I think all of them.
Yeah, all the
All
categories.
except early powers, apparently.
Yeah, he's absolutely just like he's so good at movie, and he picked up Heavy Iron and made a lot of progression as far as like the world record of any percent. So yeah, it's just had like it's kind of had like a couple different eras since the like formation of the boards back in 2018 is when they formed. It's been so long that we've kind of been grinding Heavy Iron, and it's just kind of become a part of my my SpongeBob grinding sessions, just working on all 3 games.
Jack has been the top runner of all 3 games for a very long time. He's very well versed in all the Heavy Iron games, so big shout outs to him as well.
I appreciate it. Well, not at like all 3 of the games individually, but I do like. I feel like I always kind of have that mindset of playing the 3 games. You know, and it's really nice because you know, if I'm not really feeling one, I can just grind another. Like I don't have to kind of be always playing like say like movie or Truth or Square or Battle. And that's kind of. Oh yeah. You go, Jackson.
Because practicing one kind of still feeds into Trilogy because you're still practicing a segment of it, right?
Yeah.
Something that I wanted to ask you, Jack, if there was a specific reason behind starting with movie, or just like the general order in which you do approach the games in a Heavy Iron Trilogy.
That's a great question, because I don't do it in chronological order. Because if I did that, we'd do a battle, then movie, and then toss. But the reason I do movie first is I feel like it's a really good one to get out of the way as far as just like reset heavy stuff. Because especially when I started running, like I remember my first run, I think I did battle first, but I switched over to movie because then I realized like I don't want to be like 2 hours into a run and be missing, you know, Chocolate Creek or No Cheese jumps like 10 times.
Right.
Since then there have been like tricks in battle that make me consider having it like first in the run. But I feel like having movie or like getting those tricks out of the way. Oh, I have way too many.
You have
nitros.
5 nitros, bro. What are you doing?
He's been hoarding.
That was
Saving them for the macho. I think that's how it works, bro.
Yeah.
Also, I'm sure Jaxler had a bit of PTSD there from that second last ring
Okay.
and the driving level.
Okay.
That's
It had to get brought up. I'm sorry, it had to be.
Yeah, shout out.
That's
Jaxler.
Isn't that the?
Jaxler's infamous
Yeah.
for missing the second last ring in the driving challenge.
Yeah.
In a run.
Is that that might be the most viewed movie clip of all time?
I think
it might
probably.
be, which is really tragic because
It's gotta be.
people
It's-
remember me more for that than anything I've tried to do for the community. But it's all good.
Hey, we're trying to make it so you're more known for Invisible Crate and getting people onto that bandwagon.
I will convert the people doing this. We'll talk about
you're-
that when we get to Shell City Dead Ahead. But
Yeah.
My legacy.
Oh yeah. But to finish my point of like the way I do the order, so for like the multi SpongeBob boards, we have it done in like real time. So like console switching is like part of the run. So I currently use a like a switch box to go between consoles, and by having Truth or Square in the middle, it makes it so that I can have it on like the title screen of Truth or Square during the movie run, and then like I can, once I'm done with Neptune at the end of this run, I can just like immediately like press the switch box and then just start on Truth or Square. So in an actual like Heavy Iron run, I pretty much have like 5 seconds in between each run, and then I'm just like going. But right now, or for this one, we're gonna kind of have like that time in between just to do some setup, which will actually be helpful for you guys in the audience because my 360 is so much louder than my Xbox that if we immediately switched to Truth or Square, it would just everyone's ears would be hurting.
I was thinking I mentioned that Jack mentioned real time, like runs of time in real time for all the games, but for specifically Truth or Square, we recently switched to using in-game time for all actual runs done, all full game runs.
Yeah.
The difference between like the rest of the games.
Yeah, we kind of realized that there are a lot. We used to think that there wasn't that big of a difference between 360s as far as the loading times go, but we kind of realized that some 360s are just way faster than others, so we just decided to kind of switch it to load remove time, and I think it's honestly better for that. But because we kind of have stuck with RTA for Truth or Square at least in Heavy Iron, so that it's still RTA here, just to kind of keep with the other games, since movie and battle are both real time.
Yeah, it'd be a bit awkward to have one in-game time run with 2 RTA runs.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but and then to finish the point, I just think battle is like I personally think it's just like my favorite to have like as like the closer to a Heavy Iron run, especially the final boss fight is just like such a sick segment. So I really like doing that one. I really like doing that one last. But it's really kind of all up to like what you kind of prefer when you're doing multiple SpongeBob game runs. You can go in any order you want, and I'm pretty sure like most of the runners have a different order. This is just the one that I kind of prefer. But yeah, that was essentially sandwich driving, just a nice kind of chill vibe out level. And then we're back to just do time challenge for Rub-a-Dub. It's gonna be pretty much the exact same. We just don't have to worry about like the targets, but we still get to do dump jump, and I think the enemies still don't spawn, so I have to make sure I don't get pushed off the ledge by them. But yeah, I don't know. There's I gotta make sure that I'm doing okay on manly points. I
think you're good.
You should.
You get like 1,000 during Rock Slide, so.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, Rock Slide is such a. Unfortunately I don't really know the strats for Rock Slide. Because there's a way we'll get to it when we get to it, but there's a way that you can go out of bounds to save I think like 8 seconds, and it's super cool.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, but you have to hit it first try though, so it's like not really worth going for. It's also once we get to like Rock Slide and Now That We're Men as well, those 2 levels in specific like have this weird property to them where it takes them a little bit for like the screen to unfade from black. And so you have to time a jump right as you gain control in Rock Slide, and you can't see SpongeBob or Patrick, so it just kind of sucks. But not a huge deal because there are some other strats that we can go for to sort of supplement in the meantime. But
right.
Okay, so since I'm completely clueless about the route, where are we going after this?
We're going to Weenie.
Oh, we're going to Weenie? Okay, cool.
Yeah. It's the end of backtracking right here.
Gotcha. Yeah, so
we need to make sure we have like 20 Goofy Goober tokens going into the level Now That We're Men.
Yeah, we want that 20 so that we can unlock Sponge Bowl. Sponge Bowl has probably my favorite upgrade in the game.
It's so
Upgraded
good.
Bowl is super hype, but we'll see that once we get there. So we'll head through here to Weenie, and then we'll get to see Frogfish and then Rock Slide. Nice.
2-8, let's go.
2-8's like a solid Rub-a-Dub without doing any of the out of bounds hilarity.
Yeah, I think Red Roboto skipped the aisle records like 27 seconds,
It is nutty potatoes.
something like that. Yeah,
There we
it's
go.
wild.
Yeah, and so because we got the 5th key, and we left, it saves sort of our key progress in the game's memory. So you'll hear the gate open as Mindy's sort of appearing, and there's the gate, and you can just drive to the end.
Yeah, this is the make or break of the speedrun right here. Weenie 2.
Yeah.
Oh, we got the hype bonk for the swag.
Oh yeah, gotta do it. It's like the movie's version of Skydive.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll see.
Oh yeah, we're gonna go for it. Don't worry. We'll get to that when we get
My
to
man.
that.
All right, so
First, like, main boss fight.
yeah. So it's very important that Jack has upgraded Cartwheel and upgraded Smash here. So he's going to go ahead and upgrade it. We know that we already talked about how the upgraded Cartwheel is going to increase damage. So after this first phase, so we can basically do this in 2 cartwheels if we upgrade it. And with the upgraded Slam, what we can end up doing is the next phase of the boss, it'll start sticking its tongue into the ground where it becomes vulnerable. And so what Jack's going to attempt to do is get to sort of a specific part in the arena and attempt to slam on it with Patrick's hitbox and then use the shockwave from the upgraded effect in order to stun the tongue so that it pops back out just like that. And so that gives him 2 hits, and then if he stands in a specific spot, oh, this is a little dangerous. So if you're a little too close to the ledge, sometimes she likes to spawn close, so he's going to back off. Hit her one more time. Her hitbox is still up there, even though she hasn't appeared out of the ground, and that lets you quick kill her.
Yeah, as soon as you see those dust particles pop up in the ground, that's when you can hit her.
Yeah, generally speaking, pretty much every boss in this game has a really cool, like, quick killer strat to it, which is, to me, one of the fun things about running it.
Yeah, I think Dennis 1's probably the fastest. It's so brutal when you get off cycle, but hopefully it ends up working out.
Yeah.
Both Dennis fights are really, really fun to do.
All right, so we'll see if Jack goes for the monster boost across the lava. This is like old school strat. Are you not
You
going
know
for
we're
that?
going for it.
Oh, baby.
Yeah, we
My
got it. And
Bonk.
there we go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
And then he
Nice
turns
little
around.
corner cut there. That saves a lot more time than it looks
Yeah.
like. It's because you're cutting a massive corner off the level.
And then we're just gonna do kind of an intended shortcut right here. Gotta make sure I don't jump too high. It's weird. You can't do like 2 fully spaced out jumps, or you go like over the trampoline. So I have to do like a fully spaced and then like barely like a press jump there.
The nice thing about doing this route where you go through the level instead of doing skydive is you get some extra manlies through here as well, which is, again, really helpful for this category.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that. That would make the melee round like awful.
Yeah, I think you lose like 200 manlies, which is like it's like manageable, but it can hurt sometimes.
Yeah, especially if you haven't already done like, or if you did like rub it up skip.
Yeah.
Right.
So Jack's going to do a funny here. So he's going to go ahead and take this shortcut over here, and then he's going to take another shortcut, which is called There Is No Kill Plane over here. And so he just gets to fall down all the way down to a lower part of the track. It's as easy as it looks.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
one
no,
of the
you just
best
gotta make
names
sure-
I've ever heard, by the way, for the trick. There is no kill plane over here.
Yeah.
The trick is like old as dirt. Like, people have been doing that trick since like 2013, so I don't even think it has a name.
There are like Hans, like the way that it handles out of bounds is Hans pulls you off screen. Like there are Hans triggers there, but we thankfully go right around them because the game is well made.
I'm gonna attempt a 1-frame jump here. This one's so annoying, but we'll see.
I believe.
Early.
Yeah, like Jaxler said, like you have a when you are on the ground or basically jump the frame before you land on the ground, you don't get your double jump right there. When you jump on that like platform right there, the frame before you fall on it, it basically just maintains your speed and you just go flying towards the enemies. But I've only hit that once. It's really hard to tell when the frame is.
Yeah, I get a feel for it.
Yeah, no, I have to make sure that I don't lose too many health bars right here, so
Yeah.
jump over there.
He'll get another refill as he makes his way, and then this kind of hits like a invisible checkpoint, so if he dies, he's pretty set.
Yeah, and the next trick I have to make sure I get, or else I lose like 40 seconds. So
It saves like 2 seconds, but if you miss it, it loses like 40. But it's height, so we gotta go for it, you know?
high risk, low reward, but it's awesome.
I didn't even know it saved only 2 seconds. I'm just not going to do it anymore. I'm just kidding.
Well, hold on. You gotta go.
Well,
for it,
you
for the
do
fans.
get more manlies through here, I think.
That's true.
Nah, you get more manlies the other way.
Oh, really?
I lied.
Yeah.
I'm spreading misinformation on twitch.tv/GameSync. I'm sorry.
Classic Jackson moment.
But we hit the skip, so we're good.
We got
Let's go. 2 seconds saved.
How are people gonna like be able to optimize their max percent run with that information, Jaxler?
I'm so sorry. I truly am a menace.
It's good for the low percent runners, though.
This
Yeah,
information aside, we are
all
at
zero
the bottom
level.
of rock slide.
Hey, Cheetahs did a low percent run at one point in his life, and he regretted it.
Yeah,
I don't even know what a low percent run would look like.
I don't know
You have to
either.
do-
Low
it's-
percent is so bad in this game. Frogfish takes like 5 minutes to beat low percent.
You have to do
You
optimize
have to
upgrade
use
lists.
unupgraded spin the entire time because you don't have either cartwheel or slam because you can skip both of the powers.
Oh, this
Amazing.
what
Let's
happens
go.
when you forget to press B on
I haven't seen that face in so long. But either way,
never-
we're gonna upgrade Sponge Bowl here. This is my favorite upgrade in the game. We have a remote detonated bowling ball here that has a massive hitbox. And it's pretty important to have enough manlies to upgrade that right away because it makes hitting a lot of these paddle switches way easier. And right there, he actually did a cutscene skip by jumping to that platform earlier. There's like an enemy intro cutscene that you can just sort of jump to that platform as it's rising up. And then we're going to be coming on. So this is like sort of the mid-game gauntlet where we have Now That We're Men into Shell City Dead Ahead, 2 very difficult platforming levels back to back. And so the first trick we're going to see here is something called Canyon Skip, where he's going to attempt to skip hitting those buttons there by jumping underneath the rock. And we got ledge grabless too. That's really hard. All right, he's going to send a... not going to send a bull.
I did a little too late.
Yeah, so if you you can do this has a lot more of a pronounced effect in Battle for Bikini Bottom, but you can send a bowl into a slide and you continue the sliding you continue to slide while in the bowl animation. You can actually launch a bowling ball right into some of those stacks right there. But not a huge deal because we're already at 4,100, so we should be fine on manlies. And now we're going to do bungee. So this is the only bungee challenge in the game where you can break the targets from below. We don't really know why, but it lets you set up the dive glitch really fast and go for some really fun cycles in here.
That's a really tough one to hit. I don't usually hit that cycle.
Well, actually, it is known why these targets do this. The reason is because they can be hit by literally anything. Like anything that can do damage hits those targets.
All right.
Unlike the other bungees.
Oh,
I did not know that.
Is there a
I've
strat
looked
you
at
can do
those
this with bull? This token, the bull, right? Isn't
You
that
can, the spit from these enemies can also hit them.
right?
That's awesome. I love
Really
that.
cool.
Yeah,
Well, can't the Mervs and playing topless hit the
they can.
targets, right?
Yeah, those can hit.
And it-
too, yeah.
Do not want that to happen in Plank.
Yeah, that is miserable when that happens.
You're good.
There we go. Alright, I just have to get that Krabby Patty over there just to be safe.
Yeah, so Jack's going to be setting up for another bash boost right here, but he has to get his HP up first. That's one of the big differences between this game and Battle is that when you hit like goo and stuff like that, it actually causes you to lose HP. As in contrast with Battle, where as long as you don't hit the same patch of water twice before like returning to a save point, you can take infinite damage off of him. Jack's gonna snipe this guy from a distance. That's gonna let us kill him in 3 hits instead of 6.
Oh, wonderful.
Nice.
I thought I didn't fully charge it. I don't even know if that's how that one works.
I think it's pretty generous with how like much charge your bull is.
Yeah, there are just so many ways you can trivialize that mini boss. It's pretty funny. But now we're heading into the Now That We're Men Gauntlet, where we're going to see about like 3 to 4 very difficult tricks kind of all in succession here. The first thing he's going to do is a skip to get past this trampoline puzzle where you have to hit these bowl switches to move the trampoline angles around. Instead, what he's going to do is line up a very specific positioning on that trampoline, double jump spin. That lets him grab the ledge at the end of that section, skipping it completely. Next thing we're going to see is something called a double bash boost, where it's the same thing as a regular bash boost, but you do 2 of them. We're going to do one off the lava and then another one off the top of that monster's head, and that'll get us over to that token in the distance if he hits this. Looks good?
Nice.
Nice.
Shouts to Chris.
Go. Yeah, shout out to Chris. Chris the Fast.
All right, and so that's going to take us directly into monster skip. Similar kind of concept, except we're looking to we're looking to get on a specific hitbox of that right eye of the monster, so that we can sort of regain our jump and set up for another bash boost a little bit higher up to skip this whole section.
Or is it just me?
Pretty tricky strat. Oh, that's a funky angle. Yeah.
That was a weird angle.
All right, I'll shut up for a little bit.
Oh, you're all good. You're all good. Yeah, monster skip is very finicky sometimes. Sometimes you just get like the weirdest angles from the hitbox or from the knock.
Should work. Nice. There you go.
There we go.
And he grabs the ledge and he gets the token for the Patrick spatula. This is also going to let him take the trampoline towards the end of the level, which is also going to let him skip the ambush that normally happens at the end of the level. And now we're going
My
into
favorite trick.
yeah, totally favorite trick, which is floating block skip, or FBS. This is a frame perfect skip where Jack is going to be attempting to jump the frame that he comes out of the damage animation, where Patrick is still in the grounded state. He has to do it off of a rotating spike, and he gets it first try.
Let's go. Oh my god.
That is a frame perfect window. You can, in theory, lag buffer it, but some people, like, if you've been running the game for a long time, you're just used to the muscle memory of doing it unbuffered. And so that lets him basically sit. It's 40 seconds, right?
Yeah, or it's more than that.
No,
right?
it's more,
I
yeah.
think it's like a minute.
Yeah, that saves a minute because you can see the rest of the SpongeBob or the floating block arena. It's like so much that you have to go through in order to finish that level. You just jump to it at the end immediately. Shocked I got that first shot.
Yeah, that's really sick.
I had a feeling in my bones you're getting it first try. I could feel it.
Yeah, you're hitting it in practice, so I mean.
Yeah, the thing about Patrick frames is that they have a different timing than SpongeBob 1 frames. So, and I'm definitely more used to SpongeBob 1 frames due to running battle more often. So I always get nervous doing floating block skip.
All right, so right there you just saw a toilet skip. So instead of having to hit the button to close the toilet lid, he can just jump around it. And so this is where we really want to make sure our upgrade route's in the right place. So Jack is going to go ahead and hit some specific stacks here so that by the time... Are you going for the thing here, or are you doing this?
I think he has enough to get it here.
Yeah,
Make sure you hit those stacks. This combo should give you it if you hit that.
there we go.
Still not quite.
actually,
Not quite.
Yeah, so hit that up there. That should help. And then hit those over there.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so Jack really wants to have upgraded throw here for a glitch called invisible crate glitch. You have not upgraded throw. Please upgrade throw.
Yep. No, I got that. I just set up the angle.
So what Jack is going to do is he's going to do a single charge throw with the upgrade. This is going to create an invisible crate hitbox, which has this weird property of pushing Patrick off of it, and that's going to let him get up and out of bounds in order to jump to the Cirque du Milieu token early. Nice.
There we go.
Doing me proud. I have been trying to get people to do that strat for like at least 30 years, and now finally people are starting to realize it's tight.
Jaxler has helped me become a believer in Invisible Crate. We'll be seeing it again in just a sec.
And so right here what Jack did is he took intentional damage off of that enemy spawning in, and ice blocks in this game have this property where they store your momentum. That's not HDL. He can set it up again. But ice blocks have this mechanic where they will store any momentum that you have coming into them, such as gravity or taking a damage boost. And so what he's doing here is he's jumping back up and top so that he can use the speed from the damage boost as well as the power of gravity in order to get up and out of bounds. And this lets him skip another big section of the level. So that's another one that can be really tricky. So he's going to do a cartwheel setup so that he can get over here without getting the ledge grab. One of the things that you'll see a lot, especially in the first two Heavy Iron games, Battle and Movie, is that you want to avoid grabbing ledges as much as possible because, especially for Patrick, it's about a second worth of animation that you have to watch before you can continue moving again. And so he's going to hit that TV. That's going to open up the door to the second half of Shell City that ahead. So awesome job.
So far.
It's time for 3 meter.
Yeah. All right. So this is another use of the invisible crate glitch. So it's not a huge, you definitely want to have the upgrade for here. What Jack's going to do is pick up this crate and set up an invisible crate throw on this wall facing into those little kelp vines right there. That's going to allow him to jump into the ceiling above this tube. This is the exit tube for the 3-meter island challenge. So what he can do is just continually jump like we did when we were doing, what was it called? Steamed Early. And we can climb most of the way up this tunnel. And then once we get up further enough, we can continue to do those 2-frame window jumps. Now, on slides, like we mentioned earlier, if you jump within 2 frames of touching down on them, the slide won't pull you along with its momentum. So Jack's going to do a little bit of backup here. This is pretty tricky. Looking good. In there, nice. Did you actually hit the token warp?
Yeah.
Unbuffered? Okay, go off. Okay.
He's flexing.
So one of the things to know about token warping is, like we mentioned, there are 2 frames where it works. And if you get it on the earlier of the 2 frames, you actually don't get like the visual indicator on your token icon that you've done the trick until after you load in. Nice, see, and he got the ledge grab right there. That's going to load in floating block and get him there as well. So he actually got the 2nd frame there, which is why he knew he got the token warp.
It also helps that like the pause menu music doesn't play when you get that frame. So when I heard SCDA music still playing, I was like, we got it. Alright, yeah, this is my favorite floating block level. This one's a blast.
So generally something we try to set up for this level at the start is something called Ice Physics Glitch. If you can go through the entire run from a fresh console boot without getting hit by spit from certain, or like goo from certain enemies, something called Ice Physics Glitch activates where there's not the same level of like slowdown that you get when you first touch down on ice, which allows you to make some slightly faster cycles through here, and it makes the platforming a little easier. But Jack's just going to go for a little bounce strat right there. Very risky, but he's a beast, so.
He's a gamer.
I actually feel more comfortable doing that than the normal way.
I always play this level so safe. I'm like shocked that you're doing all these jumps right now. I'm scared.
Yeah, and you got the bubbles in here with the spikes. It's just freaking terrifying.
Yeah, and those are bubbles and not ice cubes. Common misconception.
Yeah.
I always assumed that they were ice cubes.
Yeah, I also as a kid, I'm like, these are clearly ice cubes, but they make a pop sound when they disappear.
The worst part about them too is that you can ledge grab them and then they'll start disappearing right from underneath you. And that's always a clencher, as it's called.
114 might actually be my best.
That's really good.
Without Ice Physics Glitch, that's really good.
So right here, Jack is just going to grab this ledge and skip having to break a TV. And he's going to go ahead and head back here to blow up a massive stack. This is just, again, because even though we've already got an upgraded throw, we still need a lot to make sure that we can upgrade Sonic Wave Guitar once we get it later into the run. And that's going to be, like I said, really important. So we want to make sure that we go out of our way there. That's probably one of the biggest stacks that you can blow up in the game single-handedly. And so Jack's going to go for a charge throw, hit the Merv instead, which is not a huge deal. So one of the nice things about having upgraded Slam here is we can actually use these enemies as projectiles. And so what Jack's going to do here is blow up that, which is also going to kill the Merv over there. And then that lets him hit the buttons from range, so he doesn't have to go over there with manual movement. And then we're going to do another upgraded throw from downtown.
And boom.
Love that strat.
The best hammer thrower in Bikini Bottom.
All right, and now hopefully we're going to get to see the Dennis one quick kill here. So this is going to be done as Patrick. What he's going to be attempting to do is he's going to do a couple of melon throws at the start in order to sort of manipulate which way he's going. He's doing very specific positioning to make sure that he knows exactly where Dennis is going to head next. And then after the second throw, what he's going to attempt to do is after he sees this animation, he's going to time a throw so that it hits Dennis at a specific timing where the explosion hits him both midair and on the ground, dealing double damage and insta-killing him. Nicely done.
I barely hit the fast strat there, so I'm shocked that it worked.
Yeah, and on top of
he's gaming.
Yeah, he's gaming pretty hard. On top of that, he was actually able to. You can actually pause once you get the token animation to end, which allows you to work to Sunday without having to watch the end of Dennis cutscene. So awesome job on Dennis there.
Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, you really want that strat to go well because if it doesn't, bad things TM will happen. Is the best way I can describe it. It gets very, very scary very, very quickly. So welcome to Sunday.
It's just a downward spiral of spinner enemies and just random like throws from.
You'll probably just die.
Yeah, I know all tokens run recently. That was like a minute and a half ahead leaving SCDA, and then I lost all that time immediately in Dennis because it all went wrong.
Oh yeah, Sunday driving is such a blast. We basically just have to follow Goofy Goober for the first lap, and then we're going to do a. I always like feel like I mix this up. Is this like a deload strat?
It's a deload strat, so I can explain it. So what Jack is going to be doing over the course of this first lap...
Hold on, Jack. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it is not actually a deload strat. The way Goober actually works, and I've looked in the level editor, is that there's triggers throughout the level that when Goober hits them, in 10 seconds it will kill you if you don't also hit them or if you hit them before Goober does. And the problem with these, or the way they're programmed in, is that they don't restart when you finish a lap, so they're only a one-time use. So if you're going through the same area again on another lap, they don't work again. And what this means is that there's just basically no Goober triggers anymore by the end of the level, so we just have almost full freedom of movement.
Okay.
The only one we actually skip is one that's on a water slide, and the reason we could skip it is because we could beat the level so fast that Goober doesn't actually get to it.
Yeah, and so that's part of part of the setup for getting that then would be to get a bunch of nitros so that you can, during the third lap, you can kind of boost ahead and get that. I actually didn't know that. Is that recent? Is that recent?
I don't know how many people know that. I know that because I made a full game mod of this game, and I learned all that having to mod Sunday.
Yeah,
I was about to say, Corman's a modder, so he definitely knows the intricacies of these levels.
I just always thought it was a deload because, like, when you wait, you just, like, you never see him coming around the corner. So I just assumed it was a deload.
He keeps going the whole level. If you never hit the water slide, well, actually, there's a Goober trigger inside the end trigger, so eventually you will die no matter what.
Yeah.
There will be a point where you die if you wait.
Yeah, that's actually happened to me before, where I was slow through the end of the level, and Goober got me while I was getting the token, but it never let me go to the next level.
That's a classic.
That is one of the El Clasicos.
There's a classic clip on my Twitch channel of one of my first movie runs, and it's like I get to the final lap and I completely miss the finish line. Goober goes into the lap and try and get into the finish line before I just lose right there after 5 minutes.
Why are you going for this?
Let's go old strats.
Old strats that are slow.
Oh, he lost
He's flexing.
Gotta represent 2018 movie right here.
Oh my god. That's actually slower than taking the intended casual path. You do a
But it's sick.
It is very high. There's a new strat now called Sunday Jump where there's a ramp that you can use to boost on top of a rock and then carry the speed over that rail. That's like the back in the glory days.
That strat they talk to can soft lock you.
Yeah,
This is the terrible water slide that we're going to be avoiding.
It's so slow. It is so slow.
And it's the ring challenge. You have to go through it, and it's just it's so bad.
I was gonna say a ring challenge is that's the scariest part of the whole ring challenge is you have to deal with these awful water controls, and you're just hoping to God the rings are nice to you.
I've done so many all tokens and 100% runs of this game, and still every time I get to that water slide, my heart rate goes up several times. It's just so scary being on that water slide trying to go through the ring still.
Also, I bet you're wondering, this level is definitely not in the movie, and it's because it's something dream segment. They're dreaming this whole level.
It's
because they're unconscious, I guess, or
yeah. This is the that moment is essentially what happens with the tear of the Goofy Goober in the actual movie. But this is when we make our escape from Shell City and in Googly Eyes and Smelly Knickknacks,
or
as
Gask.
we call it. Yeah, Gask.
One of the weirdest combinations of bad level name and great name abbreviation, I think, in any video game.
This level is a great name.
It's very funny, but it's just saying it. Saying it feels like eating mulch. It's just not great. So
you're never gonna say it out loud the full thing. You're just gonna always say guess.
Exactly. So Jack's
you don't got time for that.
Yeah, Jack's doing kind of a new route that was developed over the past couple of years, where you actually save 2 of the faucet handles for later, and then you do this sort of strat where you fall into the water and reset your checkpoint. And so Jack is setting up to make sure that he's at exactly 1 HP, because on the second layer of Yesk, with the electrical wires, he's going to be setting up for a death warp. And so this is also kind of in reverse order from what we used to do all the way back when I started running, which is we're going to... Oh, you're doing red to blue. Okay.
Let's go old route.
Oh, you're doing old route. Okay.
Don't get the impression that I'm up to date on strats. I'm like a stickler for this route.
It's all good. So we're gonna so this is the El Clasico. So we're gonna go do yellow orange, and then we'll do blue red. But it's a couple seconds difference. The big key is to
the
not
old
fall.
Yabba route.
Well, technically they are the same length if you can get lamp jump.
Oh,
That
true.
jump
They're
is,
like exactly the same time.
that jump is
It's just
terrifying.
The new route's safer if you know what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that route is found by cornbread snake, so shout out as the cornbread
so
snake.
That's cornbread. Let's go.
I was gonna say I found both this top and the bottom route, like 2 years apart from each other.
And you were just doing that without anyone knowing, and I was
Are we getting
I
the
was like,
swag
is this
extra?
fast?
Dang, no swag extra.
Oh, I could not do that.
Just turn back around real quick and grab it. You got time.
Yeah, I'll just do some 1-frame jumps. Oh yeah, it's weird. In this level, it's 1-frame jumps instead of 2-frame jumps. Yeah, actually, yeah, cornbread. Do you know what that is? I'm actually not too sure.
That's just how the sliding character works. Basically,
Gotcha.
the thing is that when because the reason it's 2 frames in the platforming levels is because of that jump where you get your double jump immediately when you hit the ground.
Yeah.
And the thing is, when you do that as a sliding character, it doesn't cancel your momentum. You keep your momentum. It's why you have that momentum jump in Rock Slide.
That makes
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that's exactly why it's a 1 frame. It's because of that.
Funky. All right, so now we're heading into Dennis 2. This is where the upgraded bull is going to come into play. So it's a similar type of situation where we can hit Dennis both while he's on the ground and while he's sort of mid-air, transitioning between different spots on the Hasselhoff here. So he's trying to, he's getting a little hecked by the
Good.
knives here, so he's going to have to
That's
go
good.
for...
It's gonna be funky. I'm gonna continue on. I'm gonna see if I can do it.
I think you got it still. You see these enemies. Oh,
Oh, no.
Honestly, I'm fine.
we tried
with that.
again.
All right, here we go. We'll pretend like this is my first time going into Dennis 2.
Yeah, so starting off Dennis 2 here.
Oh, I did that too early. No. Okay, this guy's gonna spawn. And this guy. Oh, got the double.
And his friend, apparently.
There we go. Got it.
There we go.
Extra manlies.
That's
True.
true.
I think we're
not-
set on
Now we
Manly's.
can,
Yeah,
now we
we're-
can upgrade Bash. Let's go.
You could probably upgrade spin for a combat challenge.
Yeah, we're gonna go back to Yesk as
Wait,
far
we do
as,
combat challenge in this route?
Oh yeah.
Oh, no. I
we need to push the
forgot.
combat.
Oh, my
Yeah.
goodness.
I'm gonna go for
It's
it
been
once.
too long.
It's
once
been too
only.
long.
Oh, are you gonna do it? All right.
Okay, so this... Okay, come
Oh,
on. Oh?
No, I don't know if I'm gonna get it.
That's fair. It's fair. Those are all 1 frames he's doing.
Yeah, so if he
that's-
did...
Oh yeah, you go, Jackson.
I was just gonna say, if he did that, that would allow him to skip up the yellow cable straight to the second half of the level, but it's awful.
Yeah,
Frankly.
guess jumps, as they're called, are just like absolutely ridiculous. They when you do them both, they save about like 26 seconds, I think, which is a huge time save, but it's really risky because you got to do like 5 1-frame inputs like back to back.
Yeah. And you can see where we just were initially. Is that yellow wire? So you can see how much it cuts off this level.
Yeah, and we're still gonna do kind of like Death Warp because now that the lamps have fallen, we can just immediately Death Warp, have us reverse the direction and just go back up the level. So makes the backtracking to guess really quick. Except for we'll still have Ring Challenge, and a lot of shenanigans have happened on Ring Challenge.
Yeah. Hopefully nothing happens. There is a funny in the ring challenge.
Without
the
jinxing it, well, we could explain fake ring. Basically, from what we can like tell, it seems like there's just like some dead pixels on the rings sometimes where
it's just something to do with the moving, the fact the rings are moving.
yeah,
And also, every ring in this level is tilted for some reason by like 6 degrees.
really.
I'm not sure why. They just are. Like the 5th ring is tilted, and then every ring after that is also tilted. Like you can literally see where they're just copy and pasting it, and they accidentally tilted one of the rings.
This stuff you find out by modding the game.
Questionable design choice, but we love Heavy Iron for that.
I think I might be the only like old school runner that has never gotten fake ring, and I tend to keep it that way.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't run no major glitches. I gotta keep the
It has
legacy
yet to happen
alive.
to me since switching to Xbox. It's yet to happen to me, and I'm very scared about it happening to me.
I never happened.
Fake ring twice on OG.
Really?
Yeah, no, it was. I remember one time Purple got fake ringed in Sandwich Driving 102. It was wild.
Yeah, only other level it's happened in.
Yeah.
Hasn't happened anywhere else.
Well, it wasn't a fake ring, but Tedious did get the door to close on him and no weenie parking re-challenge, which I don't think anybody's ever been able to replicate.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, I've gotten that actually.
Oh, wonderful. That's like one
Similarly,
of the,
actual chat with another runner during the SC Day guitar challenge. One of the doors closed on him in mid challenge, having to redo all of it.
I've seen.
I have not seen that clip. Shout out to Chatter though, absolute legend.
What,
Bring that up again when we get to that challenge.
yeah, a lot of weird stuff happens in this game with rings.
I got fake ringed on this one. You could technically save it, like if you knew that you were gonna get fake ringed somehow, you could go for some 1-frame jumps to like jump back into it, but it's so hard to recover those.
And in the heat of the moment, it's just like it's so hard to recover that.
Yeah, but we're just finishing up here. Hopefully we make it through these ones. And looks like we're good. Nice.
Okay, yeah, those last rings are always the ones that it's most common on, from what I've seen.
Yeah.
Which it just adds insult to injury.
Yeah, right at the end, you just lose the entire ring challenge. It's really fun.
Alright, we're just gonna do Macho Time Challenge once. You know what? I made it up like a few jumps. I'll go for guest jumps one more time.
Oh yeah,
You're at a risk of missing the time challenge if you do that, though, right?
Sure. Yeah.
he'll hit it though.
Yeah, you can just reload. It's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. If I just like play it like okay, then we'll still make it.
Yeah,
but
we should
You
be
have
fine.
plenty of time.
You gotta give it at least one shot in a marathon run because guest jumps are super sick if you make it. I'm not really that good at them though, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're just basically gonna keep going up here, and I'm excited. I'm excited for the next level. We're gonna be doing a Planktopolis, and that's the one where you would you're intended to like get 40 tokens to unlock guitar, but we're actually gonna do like that level on our first run through without guitar, which you can still do. We just have to do a few tricks to kind of like go out of bounds a little bit. I'm excited for
Some funny
but-
nonsense.
Yeah, you'll get to see one of the easiest out-of-bounds tricks in speedrunning. It's great. Yeah, it's like one of those you just blink and you'll miss it. But yeah, we're
Something that you definitely could have found as a kid.
yeah. Oh my, I'm just like imagining someone like when the game came out, like coming across that, just being like, because there's a few instances where like you could be inbounds and see like the weird skybox texture that you definitely saw when it escaped early. But yeah, no, it just gets like wild when you go out of bounds in some of the levels, especially Planktopolis. Yeah, we are done with Gesk for now. We're gonna be going down to Plank. So as far as Plank 1 goes, it's definitely like one of the scarier like late game levels because there's
Under
a lot
pressure.
Of, like, under pressure, there's a lot of stuff that can go wrong with it, but hopefully it goes fine. We're just
Yeah.
gonna like
No pressure at all.
yeah, since we worked back to Gesk, we just have like the little cutscene from Mindy. It's like when you don't have like enough tokens, she essentially like opens up the menu for you to like backtrack. But if we just bash into this button right here, we can jump up to this ledge to grab onto it, then we can just skip over that section completely.
Yeah, so you're supposed to hit that with the Sonic Wave guitar, but now that we've skipped that, we can actually use some of the tokens from this level to count towards that 40. Jack's going to wait over here to wait out the Merv missiles because they can break some of these targets. And Jack is going for a very specific cycle here where he sets up the dive glitch and is doing all these dives at specific timings so that when it gets to the final segment, hopefully they're all in the perfect spot. Perfect. Nice. And damageless too. That's really nice.
That was fantastic.
And so the next thing we're going to see Jack do here is stand on top of the cardboard box and then double jumps onto that sort of edge of the wall. And that's just going to kind of randomly give him his double jumps back. He's then going to go into sort of this weird little spot to hopefully clip him back inbounds.
I don't get this one. I'll go for the one that I usually go for. I just like, the one I usually go for has like kind of a risk factor to it. Yeah, okay, I'll go for it. This is what I usually do to clip out here. There we go.
Nice. Good save.
Yeah, sometimes like you'll fall off that platform and it'll just like slide you down into the lava. So the one that I was like at first going for is like one that I'd say it's the more common way of clipping in.
All right, so we're gonna take care of 2 tokens here. What he does right there is he throws the freezy fruit, then grabs the throw fruit. While the freezy fruit is spawning in, he can actually wedge himself between it and the fruit, and that kind of pushes him through a wall that prevents you from like walking down with the fruit. That allows you to kind of grab all of this on one sort of cycle. Went for the token warp there. You can either go for the over-the-top setup or the cartwheel setup. Both are pretty rough, but we unlocked the combat warp while we were over there, so now we're just going to go grab it real quick.
Hardest level in the game.
We're good. We did it.
The hardest part is just not cartwheeling during this cutscene, or else you will soft lock the game.
Yeah, shoutouts to Daxon for doing that in a run. The homie.
And Jessway.
Oh, Jessway did it too, that's right.
Yeah.
Because you just end up past the token, so you never collect it, so you're just stuck in the void, basically. All right. Next to a token that you can't collect.
We're going to switch to Patrick here for his cartwheel movement, and there's the easiest out of bounds I've ever seen in a video game. You just grab the ledge. But what he's going to do with this is he's actually going to continue the cartwheel underneath this lava and then do another ceilings jump set here. So this is part of the More Bounce Please challenge that is normally activated with a button at the top of the next section, but it's always loaded in underneath the map. So what Jack can do is he can grab the token that's loaded in underneath the map. That gets him to 40. And then later, what he can do is he can then warp to that location and skip like half of Planktopolis.
Wait,
you don't have guitar.
You're right. I completely skipped over a vital step.
I'm sorry, that was really blunt the way I said it, but I'm just like...
I literally gasped watching that.
I was also like,
You do not have.
What was he cooking?
All right, let's go back. All right, so this is my first time warping back to here, and we just got guitar. There we go.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna go to Sonic Wave Guitar first in Depression. Just gonna normally I would upgrade Sonic Wave Guitar immediately, but I've since been informed that it actually does lose time to upgrade immediately. So I'm gonna wait on that a little bit.
Yeah, so the upgraded... Oh, nice strat. The upgraded animation actually takes longer for the projectile to start moving and coming out than the unupgraded version. So even though the sound is way less hype for the unupgraded version, it ends up being faster. And we won't really upgrade it until we get to Neptune, which is where we absolutely need it.
Well, we need also BVH2 for Throw Fruit with a guitar.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. God, it's been so long since I've run this category.
I just forgot so much about this game.
I feel like such a boomer when it comes to this category. I just play no pause storage.
Yeah, no pause storage has definitely become kind of the new main category of the. I'm like I love donation glitches, so I've kind of stuck with it personally.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
I'll definitely come back to no pause storage at some point. Just so you guys wait.
Yeah, so for context, this category used to also be called No Mindy Skip, because the only thing that differentiated this category between no pause storage was the Mindy Skip glitch. But there have been, since then, some other things that have been discovered that have sort of further warranted the name change, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think the main thing being that it wasn't very clear that pause storage was not allowed.
Yeah, pause storage, which is a glitch that lets you store pause, and by manipulating it certain ways, you can get yourself to warp anywhere in the game without actually having the warps unlocked and duplicate every collectible in the game as well.
Yeah, so you'll see that in like a Heavy Iron 80% run, but pretty much every other Heavy Iron Trilogy category doesn't.
Yeah, the record for the record for any percent is down to like 24 minutes, right? Or it's
No, it's 19.
Good grief,
Sub
that's
20.
crazy. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
Shows the power of pause storage in this game.
For reference, the record for no major glitches is, I believe, 119 by Purple, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And that's one flat for no pause storage.
Yeah,
So
Purple.
it cuts the game like it makes the game so short. It's insane.
It's hard for me to like
I
put
literally
it,
say it's
put it.
40 minutes over the pause storage.
Yeah, it's hard for me to like put into words like how good Purple is in this game. You guys, for those who haven't checked out his stream, definitely go check out Purple Foundation. Great brother. But,
Yeah, so Jack's making great use of the upgraded bowl just because it does a lot of damage. These are, again, this is a token that we skipped right at the start of the game. So we kind of have over-upgraded kit for the level of HP that these enemies have. So we kind of just murk them all with the upgraded bowl.
This is actually the main reason we do the Creek token early, is so we don't have to do this immediately.
Yeah.
That's what's intended, is to do this token right at the beginning of the game. You get 2 for a cartwheel.
he's so slow. Like,
It would be so slow.
I think there are some, remind me if I'm wrong, but I think there are some runners who, like newer runners who would upgrade guitar here early. Because the upgraded guitar, like, has, even when you just detonate it at close range, is a really good get off me tool.
Yeah.
So I've seen that used by a couple of runners, but it's yeah.
I'm still kind of a boomer, so I upgrade guitar early. So I do this level with upgraded guitar.
Yeah, Jack, I was
I
supposed to be.
sometimes use it in, like, Now That We're Men, like combat. That one's rough.
Oh yeah.
Now we're in combat, you want like all the upgrades you can get
Yeah.
on SpongeBob. Well, not upgraded Bash. That's the only one
Yeah,
that's useless.
do not never
Everything
upgrade
else.
Bash.
Never upgrade Bash.
It's the worst upgrade on Earth.
It's cool,
That's good.
but it's slow.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of everybody in the audience, I made sure that I got those extra Krabby Patties just to make
Yeah,
sure.
that was
I didn't get
scary.
out here. It's very easy to like lose track of your health in this level, so I just wanted to make sure we were all good there. Yeah, once we're done with that, we can warp over to Bubble Blown Baby Hunt again. So, yeah, as we were talking about earlier, we have the warp for Sonic Wave Guitar. Essentially do the level backwards, so hey, there we go. Lost in the
Been
menu.
lost in the sauce there.
Yeah, so we're gonna be doing one of my favorite segments in the run. It's kind of reminiscent of a lot of stuff that you would see in battle where we do the level backwards. And so yeah, we're gonna be once we finish Guitar Challenge, we're gonna be doing PvP, which is an absolute joy.
Yeah. And are you going to be doing this as Patrick, or are you going to be doing this as SpongeBob?
I'm gonna be doing it as Patrick.
Okay, cool. Just double check it, because like there's been like a back and forth on whether you do this as Patrick and SpongeBob. Like, and-
Really?
Well, you do the main part as Patrick, but the ending part getting the disco, yeah. You can do either or.
yeah.
Oh,
You'll see in a moment.
in that case, I actually do. I go to disco as SpongeBob.
Okay.
I didn't know you can actually get there as Pat. That's pretty cool.
You do some really cool damage boosts to get over there, and also cartwheel movement is pretty fast.
Yeah.
You have to weigh in the load it takes to get there.
Is it?
I think it is slightly faster than what, like a second faster than what you're probably going to be doing here. But there is a strat that makes SpongeBob overall the faster character than Patrick.
Yeah.
There's a bash boost you can do.
That makes sense. Yeah, bash boosting is such a great mechanic. I feel like it just would. I really appreciate it for a lot of the platforming levels, because it would just be so miserable having to do like one frame jumps for some of those movement. It just makes the movement a lot more fast paced in the platforming levels, like 3K.
More consistent.
Yeah, no, I love it.
One thing I also know about
stuff like steamed early would be impossible if it was a one frame.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, yeah, that'd just be
Nobody
out
would
of the
do
question.
it's pretty unfortunate that we can only buffer like grounded moves and not jump. If we could buffer jumps out of damage boost, it'd be very nice.
So shout outs to the spinner enemy that's just on the target.
Yeah,
Just
it's
chilling.
always there.
As he's just always chilling there. So what Jack is going to do right here is set up a glitch called Guitar Storage, where he bowls off the platform for the guitar challenge while pressing down R, which is going to keep this dialogue box up as he switches to Patrick. And so, yeah, he went for the cutscene skip there. Unfortunately, didn't quite get it. But what this does is it allows us to remote activate the guitar challenge again at will. And so that's going to be really important for us because we're going to be trying to do this backwards, but there's normally these sort of slam blockades that you have to break with your slam attack, and you can't break those by going up. So we need a workaround. And so that workaround is that if we grab a ledge while activating the challenge, it locks us in place. And the Sonic Wave Guitar Challenge will actually deload all of these breakables so that the Sonic Wave Guitar, by default, can go through those without them having to be in the way, right? So he activates that so that he can get through there. He's going to go ahead and take this warp, and then he's going to go ahead and warp back. This allows him to swap over to SpongeBob, and then he can, now that he's set his checkpoint there, he can actually death warp with SpongeBob here, which gets SpongeBob over to that section, which I believe is not normally intended. And so because of that, we can now do Throw Fruit challenge with the upgraded Sonic Wave Guitar. So one of the properties of this, in addition to its higher damage, is that when it locks onto something, you can press the button, and regardless of how much time left you have on the attack, it'll just auto home in on it.
I was going for the pressure plate. Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, so just like that. And then what Jack can do is, since he's standing right where the token spawns, he hits the button, and then it starts the token animation grab during the cutscene. And then this also warps him up to here, which is going to allow him to start getting further into the level as well. So it's a nice little time saver on top of that.
I'm going to do kind of like a little bit of a drop off right here to get over to this ledge. I'm going to use the Sonic Wave Guitar to just get rid of these two. Oh, there we go. Yeah, they can just get really annoying. I've gotten hit off this platform many times by them.
Yeah, so SpongeBob, if you don't go for the bash boost, has to do kind of a scary strat here where you grab that ledge, nice. And so one of the reasons why it's fast to do this as SpongeBob is that, so Disco Star is an objective that is sort of toward the beginning of the level that we skipped earlier. And the reason why is that the button for the door on the other side of that challenge is always active. And if you use the Sonic Wave Guitar right next to the door, you can hit the button through the wall, and it just lets you skip the challenge instantly.
Oh, he had a 2-frame.
That was a 2-frame. Wow.
Wait,
Also, alternative. You had a 2-frame.
Dang.
I couldn't tell until after you unpaused, though.
Oh, that's unfortunate. I've never gotten that one.
That token's hitbox is really large compared to all the other ones for some reason.
Yeah, so there's a strat you can go for in this SpongeBob challenge called Fast Corkscrew that saves 6 seconds and a cycle, but it's extremely dangerous, so not a lot of people go for it.
So we're going for it right now. No, I'm just
kidding. Please don't.
We'll mix up on all of this.
Oh yeah. Yeah, just gotta maneuver around these guys. There's a really weird cycle with the boxes on the left that you'll see. Yeah, I feel like there's always something that goes wrong in my BBB sponge balls, but here we go. I'm just gonna wait for the front ones to move to the right. Should be good. There we go. There's a very small window to make that.
Also, I gotta say, this is something I've held for a long time, but don't the textures on those blocks look like Darth Vader's face? Can you guys see what I'm seeing?
I can see it. I can see it. I've always wondered what those were.
On the light blue ones?
Yeah, the light blue blocks. If you look at the texture, the way they look, it's like Darth Vader's face.
I don't know, dog.
No, please. I'm not crazy. Just please trust me.
Now you bring it up, I can kind of see it.
I can see it.
We'll see during SCDA SpongeBob again.
Do they appear in SCDA SpongeBob? I don't think they do.
All right, welcome to the hardest token in any casual playthrough, which is SCDA Guitar. One of the reasons that makes this really hard in this category is that we skipped having to break one of the TVs by doing the out of bounds right next to Cirque du Malaise. And so because of that, most of the ring for the one that's by that TV is embedded into the TV. And it can be kind of a nightmare to deal with, but we have a specific way we go about it. So it usually isn't a big deal, but in general, this is something even runners still have to practice because it's just a very difficult token. I think everyone who's played this game has some kind of emotional attachment to how much this token hurt them.
Yeah, but it's one of those things. Once you learn it, you never forget it, unless you somehow hit one of these ice blocks. sorry. Wait, what have you?
Those are ice blocks.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It's really nice that they disable the hitbox while you're using the Sonic Wave guitar here, because otherwise it'd be really hard.
Those doors there are ones that
Eligible.
those doors that Jack went through is the ones that I mentioned earlier that closed on another runner before. I don't want to jinx it,
Oh,
but
yeah, those doors.
I'll knock on wood for that. But they have closed once.
We're doing like 2 laps around this.
Yeah, some of
like,
these
so let's
turns
get
are
there,
just
yeah.
so brutal if you don't know they're coming as well. It's just like,
Yeah.
how are you... Like, you don't have a lot of time to react because there's a bit of a timing to the... It takes a little bit to get turns going. And then, like,
Yeah,
look
like,
at that! What is that
How are you
ring?
supposed to get?
How is that's so bad?
Also, like when we started SCDA, I actually made sure to avoid loading in the first enemy, like the Merv, because it makes it so much harder to do Sonic Wave Guitar because it just like is so in the way. And if you hit him, then you lose, and you have to restart. At this point, it's pretty
I
much
was
like a
going to
minute.
say, as an antithesis to the TV thing, skipping that cutscene really helps there. That enemy is literally right in the middle of the ring.
Yeah. Also you're probably wondering, like, eventually you seeing that target at the end, like, the target's always loaded in there, but we can't just hit it and beat the challenge instantly. We have to actually go through every ring to complete the challenge.
Yeah, the devs actually thwarted us there, which is a little unfortunate.
Yeah.
So it's
Really foiled our plans there.
Yeah, so it's worth noting as well that kind of our final token threshold that we need to hit is 50 for this category, because that's going to allow us to regain the paddy wagon and be able to complete Drive of the Knucklehead McSpazatron. So we're grabbing SpongeBall here as well. This is also something you grab in no pause storage because it sets up for Mindy Skip, weirdly enough, but we're not going to be seeing that here. It's just another fast token that we're going to grab.
All right. When you guys see it again, please just tell me you see Darth Vader. I'm not crazy.
I can see it.
Gonna need chat to weigh in here as well. I feel like I'm being thrown along a little bit. I feel like I'm getting.
You'll see. I
I feel
swear.
like I'm
I swear
being
not.
bamboozled here.
This is not some. I'm not pulling your leg. This is Darth Vader. He's
Going
real.
for Red Cycle, my favorite cycle for SCDA. Here we go.
I see what I'm talking
I
about.
kind of see it, but I'm just like,
see it?
Oh, I see it.
Let's go.
Blue,
Yeah,
red,
I see it.
yellow.
That's definitely Darth Vader.
That's,
the force was not with you on that one. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
true.
Oh my god.
Darth Vader force pushed him off the level.
That's like a random.
Yeah, no, that's why we don't go for Yellow Cycle, because that happens. Yellow Cycle is when you just die.
I don't think there has ever been a marathon run of this game where someone hasn't died on a CDA SpongeBob. I think it's actually 0 for like 4 across the community.
Yo. Alright, let's try this again. Alright, this is my first time going through SCDA SpongeBob.
Guys, I'm telling you, Darth Vader's right there. You can see it now. I'm not crazy.
So
The first time I brought this
Yeah.
up.
This should be good.
So I guess while we're going through here, since we're going to be kind of seeing this again, Amber, I don't know if like you had any questions or if anyone from the chat had any questions about this run, about this game. This would be a great time if you wanted to ask anything.
Yeah.
So right now, someone did say that it definitely looks like Vader.
Thank you.
Yeah, I hate it.
I hate it here.
You're welcome.
Hostile work environment.
So someone was asking like whether or not this was on GameCube. This is the Xbox version of the game, if I'm not mistaken. I believe Jack runs all of these on Xbox.
Yeah, I run the Xbox version for Battle and the fastest version, then I run 360 for Trooper Square. But they're all Battle and Movie are both on GameCube and PS2.
And then True Square's on Wii and Xbox for the console release, but it's also on PSP and DS.
Oh, we lived!
Oh my god, that was terrifying.
That is the only strat that I've found in this game.
Yeah,
It
and
saves, like, a
coincidentally, it's rough.
Yeah, almost missed it, but we chillin'.
Yeah, so we're gonna.
Also, shout outs to the only Planktopolis spinner we'll ever see.
Yeah.
Right there.
And there he goes.
And Patrick just up there hanging out.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
never,
he's
like,
just
understood that.
chilling.
He's big.
I don't know what he's supposed to be, like Indiana Jones maybe? I have no idea.
Yeah, so we're
Kind
gonna
of
see.
like the costume from that one Patrick, that evil Patrick and Creature from the Krusty Krab.
Dreaded
I think he
Patrick.
jumped
Funny
early.
about that.
Yeah, I definitely hit Y before.
Yeah, so he's looking for a.
Something really funny about that Patrick I do want to mention is that the rope is actually textured with the same texture Patrick has. Like you can see Patrick's eyes on the rope.
Oh,
Boy, that's awesome.
Really
Did
cursed.
not know that. I hate that.
Yeah, if you look at it closely, you can notice that.
all right. So now we're probably going into one of the most terrifying tokens in this category, which is Planktopoulos SpongeBob, which luckily in no
Shall
pause
see.
storage we get to skip now. But Jack is I think, going to be going for the propeller skip strat at the start. Just going to allow him to get on a much cleaner cycle, which makes this level a lot better. But sometimes it just doesn't like to cooperate. So hopefully it does cooperate. Good, nice. That lets us
First
get
part.
this section is just it's so hard. This
Especially at the end of the run, you're just like, you're nervous, your hands are shaking.
yep.
Yeah,
Stuff like that can happen.
that always happens to me. I just never get enough fight on that.
Luckily that was so early into the level that it's not going to end up costing him all that much, but it's it's just one of those things where it's just like
It hurts the soul.
Okay, all right. I just like always get nervous about like the that propeller skip is really annoying. You have to hit a very specific part of it. And if you're like too behind, then you're just gonna get like knocked off. So
So you need to bounce off the pedal. You can't just like glide across.
like I generally try and get up to like full speed right there. Like,
yeah, that'll do it.
all right, let's try this again.
My first time in playing SpongeBob here.
I'm not
Yeah.
even gonna pretend. I'm gonna own that mistake. That was my beat. There we go. Okay, red, yellow. Okay, so I gotta get off blue. Here we go. All
Yeah, so every runner has the pattern of those platforms memorized because it's pretty important.
Yeah, I
And even though they have memorized, we still audibly say the pattern out loud.
Oh, I think you were on a weird off cycle because of the Hans. So
No, I didn't turn or turn back quick enough, so I just like
Yeah,
went straight into it.
He was going too fast.
Yeah, no, that one I was like, I was behind cycles, so I had to kind of like make up for it. But if you're like those faucets or like steam like chimney things, they're unforgiving on that section. See, all right, but we've got all the parts. We have to like put this segmented like sponge ball together.
I believe in
Yeah.
you.
You just gotta get over here. There we go. Right. I don't know.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would wait on that.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm just gonna go now.
You go left, I think, yeah.
Oh,
Ooh,
You're good.
that was
You're
kind
in.
of close.
that's so terrifying. I'd never go left there, so I did not know, like, I just didn't have the muscle memory, and I was afraid I was gonna fall. But we got it.
Yeah.
It's in the ground right now.
It's really funny too because in all extras, like you don't need to grab that token, but that's the only SpongeBob challenge that has an extra located in it. So it's like an extra challenge that you have to do in that category, which I don't appreciate. But
Like, it just had to be that one.
yeah. So we're gonna see a really cool glitch here that makes use of the guitar called a guitar glide. So he's gonna hit these two buttons so they can get to the wall jump platforms, and essentially what's gonna happen is he's going to land on the wall jump platform and then press the guitar button. And this is going to put him into a weird hover glide state. And while this is happening, he's also going to double tap select to lag clip him through the wall. And this allows him to go flying out of bounds. And so what this is going to allow him to do is skip a long like elevator ride wall jump section. You can kind of see the railings for it up there. And so that's the first part of the trick. And now what he's going to have to do is something called a lag RA jump in order to get back in bounds. Got it. Second
There
try.
you go.
Nice. And so there's a whole bunch of inputs going on there. I'm bad at explaining it, so probably just move on. And then right here, what we're going to do is a bash boost. This is going to let us skip to the end of this section here without having to fight a bunch of mervs. And then hopefully Jack goes for monumental.
I don't know it. I feel
Don't
like
know
I'm
it?
gonna
Okay,
fall.
cool.
That's fair enough. You can do a batch boost to get over to the eye and then just get a bit of a quicker kill on the boss here. So fingers crossed. I won't say anything.
Yeah, no. Nobody speak Iron
Okay, okay. Now we can talk, because there is a chance that one of the rocks he shoots at you can push you past the token and then you get soft lock.
I'll never forget my 136.05. I got pushed off the platform by the rock, and if I had stayed on, then I would have soft locked and lost the run. But it's because I died that I was able to just like go get the token. All right,
It was a
we
funky
did not
situation.
skip. We did not skip Mindy. We did it.
Mindy has not been skipped. Big news.
Yeah, so there's a really weird glitch you can do with something called bowl storage, which I don't think I don't know if we'll ever solve the mystery of exactly how it works, but if you set things up properly, there's a sort of weird feature of the game where after Mindy boots you out of this level, if you don't have 50 tokens, you can actually, for a very brief window, have control over the paddy wagon, even though you're in that cutscene. And you can, when you have that glitch set up, if you drive into the pit at the start of the level, it puts you into a glitch state when you respawn that basically allows you to get into the level for free without the last 10 tokens. So that's like sort of the big difference between like this category and no pause storage, is that you're not allowed to do that. So that's why we needed 50. So it ends up skipping 9 tokens, which, might not sound like a lot, but it's like, what, a 20-minute difference?
Yeah, it's like
19-minute difference.
it's massive.
The tokens are long.
Yeah, other than that, we got a comfy driving level through here. A nice little breather before we get into the absolute clencher that can be Neptune, especially first phase.
And this drive level probably looks very familiar, and that's because it is same as driving, just in reverse.
Some things
Oh
are
my God,
different.
wait, I just realized
It's-
that I'd be remiss if I didn't do this.
Oh, true.
Oh, not
Not that.
The preview.
Not that.
Oh, I did it again.
He did it again.
There we go. All right, there we go.
Let's go.
My
He's playing the movie, actually. He just
Yeah.
wanted to play the movie for you guys.
Yeah.
My friend Bennett is legendary in the community for always putting on the Mermaid Man costume, so I always try and do it in heavy iron runs for him.
Oh, middle door.
Yeah, no. The thing about that is it's random which door is open there, but it's never the left one. It's always middle or right, and we have no idea why.
It was actually funny when that was discovered because we thought it was left, middle, or right, but it turns out that the 3 patterns, 2 of them is right door. That's the last one, or the last one that closes.
Really? Okay.
That's why it's never left, because there is no pattern where it's left. It just doesn't exist.
That's awesome.
There's a 1/3 chance it's middle, 2/3 chance it's right. Middle is obviously optimal.
A little rough for the IL runners out there, but
Yeah.
Like one of the very few RNG things in this game.
Finish. Gonna...
Little drift off the
the
side.
drift.
Little trick shot.
I've never seen that before.
I actually never have gotten to that. I just thought that I wanted to see what it looked like.
Imagine if it's soft locked again.
Yeah. All right, so welcome to Turn the Tables on Plankton, aka Neptune. Jack's going to start off the fight by launching a Sonic Wave Guitar, which forces him into his first phase of attacks earlier. Phase 1 is going to have these sort of flamethrower-looking attacks, and Jack is trying to make sure throughout this entire fight that he doesn't take damage. It takes 3 of these flamethrower attacks before Neptune will go into the phase where he becomes vulnerable with the sniper laser. And if he takes damage from any of his flamethrowers, it'll reset him back to attack 1. So he really wants to make sure he avoids taking damage. But he has to do this kind of like weaving pattern back and forth so they can continue to move towards each of these different tables to reflect the shot while still not taking damage. And it doesn't look like much, but especially because sometimes when you land mid-spin, you kind of have a little bit of landing lag. It can be really tricky to get this strat to work. So this looks good though. And he does nice. That's going to be a damageless phase
weird.
1.
Well, that's weird because it actually gets it actually gets easier the later phases like start on. It's like phase 1's the hardest, and then phase 2 is easier, then phase 3 is the easiest. It's a bit weird.
Yeah, so the nice thing about phase 2 and sort of the laser arrays in general is they have a maximum radius, and you manipulate where the laser center spawns based on where you're standing when he cocks his weapon back, sort of like the shotgun sound. And so because of that, you can spawn it in such a way where you can keep them out of the way of the table so you never have to deal with the lasers.
Yep. Alright, yeah, just gonna... I always like time that A press there with the Krabby Patty appearing, so I always try and make sure that I don't pick that up. Just so I still have the visual cue. The one I'm passing right now. Alright, yeah, just gotta do one more in phase 2. There's a huge debate, and this debate has been long fought in the community, whether to get rid of the spinners on phase 3 or keep them. I personally keep them in the level. I just don't really.
Yeah, Manip Gang, let's go.
Yeah.
Boo!
Yeah.
You guys want to die for fun?
I know. All right, here we go.
I used to be Keep 'em Gang, but I switched in like 20.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna go down here, similar to phase 2, and I just pretty much just pretend like these guys aren't here.
Yeah, so you can basically they're gonna shoot their shot wherever SpongeBob is standing. You can make use of that in order to manipulate sort of where the shots are gonna end up. So what Jack also has to keep in mind with this strat is sort of on like the Xbox version, you can't like there's a puddle once like the projectile lands, and you can't really see it all that well on the Xbox version, but right there it will despawn any of the particles that are on screen or like projectiles that are on screen once that cutscene plays. So he's making use of that to basically not have to worry about the spitters at all. There are people who choose to bash the spitters because they generally don't tend to move from that center platform if you do it right. But yeah, we're coming up on the end of the movie run. For the movie segment, time is going to be on Final Hit, which is going to be the final guitar hit into the boss here. So we'll get ready to pause the timer soon here for our first break.
Oh, a little bit of a Sam strat there.
Yeah, I had to show it that it at least exists.
Yeah, so there's a weird property of the lasers in phase 3 is that like the actual ring of lasers, if you move the camera right above you, the lasers just like aren't there anymore. Like their hitbox is completely gone.
And time.
All right, good job.
What was the
GG on
final
the first
time?
segment.
137 something?
Honestly, if it's a 137, I would take that. That's for
Yeah,
no reason.
137.12 plus 13.
Solid. That's a good run right there.
Yeah.
For reference, my current PB is a 130.39. I still think that's one of my best runs ever. I cannot even. I don't think I'm ever gonna beat it. But for like a no reset, I think like a 137 is solid because there's a lot that can go wrong.
Definitely.
We get to see this incredible PowerPoint of a cutscene where Mr. Krabs just suddenly gets smaller all of a sudden. Like,
And he loses a limb and grows the limb back.
yeah. No, it's just this cutscene's so cursed, but we love it in the movie.
I love the Photoshop job on the mouth as well, where you can clearly tell that they got the wrong hue for editing over the mouth on the previous frame.
Yeah, unfortunately, Heavy Iron didn't actually get the rights to the actual movie, so they could only really use screenshots and get around with it with like fair use tactics
Yeah.
to actually make these cutscenes.
But
It's also why David Hasselhoff is not referred to as David Hasselhoff in Dennis 2.
Yeah.
true.
Because they didn't have the rights to him.
With that's SpongeBob movie. I'm glad that we got to show it on here, and I'm excited for Toss and Battle coming up next.
All right, I guess that's my cue to go ahead and remind y'all that we're going to be taking a break between the games in this multi-game speedrun. And if you have missed out on any of our other Hotfix shows or maybe some past events, you could check out our VODs over at youtube.com/gamesdonequick. And finally, your primes, your subs, your Prime Gaming subs, your gift subs, and your bits cheered on the GDQ Twitch channel do help support Games Done Quick Hotfix. So please consider subscribing if you enjoy the daily speedrunning content, and we will be back with SpongeBob's Truth or Square as segment 2 of the Heavy Iron Trilogy right after this. So get up, get a drink, stretch your legs, and come right back. We'll be right back with you. Hello everyone, welcome back to episode 12 of Passion Project, the variety show that encourages everyone in the speedrun community to showcase the projects that they've been working on. My name is Amber Cyprin, I am joined by Jack Alaka and the Krusty Krab commentary crew over here. And we are in the middle of a multi-game speedrun called the SpongeBob Heavy Iron Trilogy. And that means 3 different SpongeBob games that were developed by Heavy Iron Studios, for those who are just joining us. We just wrapped up the first segment in the form of the SpongeBob SquarePants Movie, the video game, and we are now on SpongeBob's Truth or Square. Jack, go ahead and take it away.
Sounds good. Yeah, the SpongeBob Truth or Square is the last of the 3 to be developed in the Heavy Iron Trilogy, and it's on a completely different engine than Battle and Movie, so it's going to be a much different run than the first 2, or I guess first 2 chronologically. We haven't seen Battle yet, but it's going to be much different from the other 2. And so timing's going to start when I press no on autosave, so I'm just going to quickly kind of set that up, and we're all good to go on time, so I'll just get we good for the countdown?
Absolutely. Go ahead and give us a countdown.
Sounds good. We're gonna go in 3, 2, 1, go. All right. So this is SpongeBob Truth or Square. It's a much more kind of like level by level run than Battle and Movie, where we have a lot of backtracking. Essentially, like, we're gonna just be going through different memories that SpongeBob has to try and remember the secret formula for the Krabby Patty, because he forgot it. So not fully based on the episode of the same name, but pretty close. But yeah, first level is going to be Jellyfish Fields. This is going to be one of the first instances of a robot ambush that we'll have in the level, and we're going to be using our spatula attack of right here to get rid of them.
No triple, unfortunate.
Yeah,
close triple though.
We got a double there, so we take that.
Yeah.
We always talk about like getting like doubles, 2.5s, or triples there. Basically, you can, as you saw, like you can hit multiple enemies at the same time with the spatula ability, and it just saves animations every time you do it. So you want to try and get the robots to be in the same spot for attacks, and they should be in the same spot right here, so we can get a quick double. And we're going to be coming up on the first like kind of big skip in the game, which is Tiki Jump.
Yeah, so once Jack takes this little shortcut up to the 5th robot, he's going to be setting up on a Tiki that normally just espouses tutorial information, and there's a little bit of the grass ledge on the other side of that fence over there that has a hitbox that you can jump to, so he has to do kind of a weird runoff jump. Looks good, nice. So one of the things that like makes running this game different than the other Heavy Iron games is that this game doesn't really have coyote time the same way that Movie and Battle do. And so because of that, a lot of the platforming has to be that much more precise and intricate. And if that's one of the things that kind of blows me away about doing this segment in the middle is that you have to go between a game with a lot of coyote time to a game with no coyote time to another game with a lot of coyote time. And then the camera controls also swap between games. So you go from inverted to standard to inverted camera controls. And so it can be a lot, and that's why there's a dedicated group of people that like spend their time on this, because it takes a lot of skill to be able to swap back and forth at will, which I just think is super impressive. Speaking of things that are super impressive, we're coming up on barrel jumps. So there are going to be these barrels that we're able to roll around and use as platforms, and we're going to use them to skip different sections of this level. So he's going to knock this one on its side, use it as a platform, clear up the ledge. Nicely done. And that's the easier of the two. Now we've got Barrel 2. Shout outs to the command in his chat, !Barrel 2. For this one, he has to get the barrel above parallel. So when it's on its side, it's not going to be high enough. So what he's going to do is free this barrel right here and use a specific setup where he rolls the barrel along the side of the wall and tries to catch it with his body. So he didn't quite get it there, so he's going to be going for a bit of a backup, which... quite gonna work.
Almost got the really cool backup, but we can save it. We just have to do a little bit of adjustment.
That might be in the bad spot.
Oh wait.
We'll give it a.
He's gonna. That should fix it. Yeah. So you have to have it at least above it can't be on its long side. It has to be at least at a diagonal or above. So. Sometimes that's sometimes something that can cause you to lose a little time. Is it strat faster? It's the verdict out.
Fast movement.
It's the verdict out.
The verdict's been out.
Oh my goodness!
It saves a bit of time.
Talking about a hostile work environment earlier. No, I'm just kidding.
It's like SpongeBob is SpongeBob. Oh, I'm late on it.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about the sponge buff when it becomes a bit more relevant. But he will have it here for some extra damage in this fight. This fight works really funky under the hood the game can only have 5 enemies in this arena at once, and it will generally try to prioritize spawning in the blue spinner robots and then filling the remaining total with those green hammer robots. So ideally, there's like different ways you can try to manipulate it, but like every little different thing that you change in your movement can sort of... Oh, are you gonna get the 1 cycle?
Maybe.
Oh, you were 1 hit away. That's still really fast, though.
Slightly better movement would have had a 1 cycle there, unfortunately, but it's fine. Yeah, jellyfishing is such like a reset heavy, because it's a level that can be very optimized, but you have to capitalize on really good luck with the enemy spawns, and you have to make sure like you nail barrel 1 and 2. Like there's ways that you can set it up so you just like basically throw the barrel into the corner and it just like jumps up immediately. But I did not get that there, so I had to do some funky backups.
The barrels are a big reset point for all runners in this category.
Yeah, so we'll talk about exactly sort of what this category means and how that level you just saw is a lot different in other categories. But for now, we're going into the first 2 levels in like pretty much any run of this game are really brutal. And we go straight into Kelp Forest, and we're going to be starting off by seeing the first hammer clip in the run. So hammer robots in this game have 2 hitboxes when they're attacking. The physical hitbox of their hammer that just kind of, pushes people away, and the actual part that deals damage. And if you get hit by both of those in specific ways, it can actually clip you through solid walls. So he's going to do a specific setup here to hopefully...
Nice.
Yeah, so you see that little camera glitch right there? That's how you know he gets it. That's going to clip him out of bounds, and then he can not only skip this fight, but several other fights. You can see him pointing in the camera in the direction. That's all the stuff he's skipping. And what he can do is hit a checkpoint trigger from out of bounds to load him back into the map once he hits the kill plane. And that lets him save about a minute off the level. Nicely done.
Yeah, help out of bounds is like that trick has changed so much.
Yeah. There's like
definitely a bunch of different setups you can go for in that.
Yeah, so we're going to grab buff here for later. This is going to allow us to do a bunch of different things. But the first thing you're going to see here is something called a spin boost, where he's just going to gain a lot of height just like that, much higher than your double jumps. And so what's happening there is you jump and then spin right as you're about to clink with a spinner robot, and it just sends you flying. And so we use that to skip a lot of stuff, and we're also going to be seeing a lot of spin hopping. And so what Jack is doing is he's inputting a jump and then immediately spinning. Whenever you're in midair with the upgraded spin, it actually sends you further, and the way that they implemented that is by just making you go faster while spinning. And so we can make use of these faster jump spins in order to get faster movement while we have the buff power up. Oh, it looks like we're going for the Eric Andre here. Oh, we got it! Let's go! Oh, nice. So the reason we call that the Eric Andre is if you've seen the meme of Eric Andre at the fence, let me in. That's where the joke comes from, because that wall grip is notoriously difficult. And so he's going to do a spin boost right here to get up to this paddle switch early. And then he's going to head back down to grab another buff power-up so that we regain access to spin hopping, as well as another property of this where you have double damage. And his goal is to get this to the end of the level for the mini-boss. So one of the issues with the power-up is the moment you take damage with it, you lose it. And there's not a lot of opportunities for you to back it up. So it's going to start here, enable him to do the fence jump here. Nice.
I barely got it there. Nice.
And then these flowers are kind of like Venus flytraps. They'll just suck you right up. But they made the hitboxes too small, so you can just jump between them and never get damaged by them. And he's going to go for a specific setup here so he can manipulate this spinner robot to be in perfect position for another spin jump. This is going to get him to the mini-boss fight with the buff power-up active, which is going to allow him a 2-cycle instead of a 3-cycle due to the upgraded damage.
That was really clean.
That was basically ideal.
Yeah, also, I think that you'll see Jack doing in this fight is that he's like saying his specific spots to manipulate the enemy's attack pattern, because the way the spinning attack works in this boss fight is that he'll stop as soon as he hits a wall. He wants the boss to be as close to a wall as possible so he can end his attack cycle as soon as possible to get the 2-cycle and end a fight.
Yeah, and you're going to see him kind of look at the really closely here. He's trying to line up the treasure chest with the end-level happiness object will spawn in on top of SpongeBob. And if he's in the right spot, it should push him into the happiness object, saving about 4 seconds.
That should be good. Yeah,
nice.
That should be good.
Hey, let's go. Nice.
There's a few red dots on the ground, and that's all I have to really kind of give a visual cue. Shout out to Sam for showing me how to do that.
It's still rough, but it's a lot easier. And then we're
Yeah.
going to be seeing Robo Patrick for the first of 2 times during this showcase because he'll make a reappearance in battle.
Bit different than he is in battle, but the fight is pretty like Jack said earlier about the fight in JF is like pretty technical underneath the hood. Like there's a lot going into this fight because ideally, like for each phase to complete, you need to wipe all the enemies out as fast as possible. So you're basically gonna be spawn camping every single enemy that spawns in. And also, there's another weird thing that I'll cover once we get to it, without actually going to hitting Patrick, because there's a way to speed up and get optimal hits in the fight.
Yeah, so the nice thing is we get buffed pretty much immediately, so and they spawn in predetermined locations, so they just get thrown in by a crate. And you can kind of use those markings on the floor to kind of know where you are relatively in the arena so that you can accurately spawn camp.
Yeah, I just have to make sure that I like maintain buff state while I like hit his belts, or else it just you can't really attack him there.
Yeah. Also, small thing Jack did there is the ultimate way to actually deal damage to Robo Patrick is like start spinning right as you walk into him. You're gonna like deal like insane amounts of damage really quickly. Like you can lose like a few seconds per each hit if you don't get optimal hits on the boss.
It's a little funky, yeah.
Yeah.
He's also going to be kind of just going off to the side so he doesn't have to deal with the spin attack. You want to be as close as possible to Robopat to be able to hit him quickly, but you don't want to be too close because you don't want to miss buff. Nice, he got the quick hit.
Got two quick hits so far. If we can get a third one, this could be a gold.
Yeah.
Big gold.
And kind of while we're going through here, I think this would probably be a good time to explain exactly what this category means. So this is no level skip glitch, which means that we're not allowed to use what's called the level skip glitch. So in this game, the end level happiness object and like the other collectibles are hidden like in specific spots out of bounds. And if you grab them from out of bounds, it's basically counts it the same as having beaten the level. And so, for example, in jellyfishing, it actually allows us to beat the level right from the start, and it's really, really fast. And on top of that, it also enables another glitch where if you hit one of those happiness objects or certain out of bounds triggers, you can actually trick the game into thinking you've beaten levels you have not by updating like the level progress flag over and over. And that is not allowed for this category. So this is kind of ends up being a slightly more complicated all levels category. So we get to see some really cool stuff that you wouldn't see otherwise.
It's like an all levels source requirement is like how I think of it.
Yeah, that's a very good way to quickly describe it. Yeah, I haven't thought of that.
Yeah, and also one of the great things about Truth or Square is that there's trivia. So if anyone in the chat wants to test their SpongeBob knowledge, then you're more than welcome to do that in the loading screens.
And there was the best line in video game history right there.
Yeah.
Jiggle me handle, SpongeBob.
A certified Jackler favorite.
Yeah. I usually am the one that pointed out, but I had a snack in my mouth, so thank you, Sam, for the backup.
Yeah, I got you.
All right, we got fry cooking. This is just kind of like a fundies test right here of a level.
Yeah, so we're getting access to the cannon shot for the first time, which we'll use a lot later for fights where we don't have access to the buff power because it has a really high rate of fire. You can just melt single target enemies with it. But that won't really be the case in this level because we're just going to skip all of the enemies. And so because of that, we're just going to be using it for its intended purpose. So you kind of have two halves to the level. We have the sort of slow bit where we're riding on the buses and hitting all the switches as intended here. And then we kind of have like this turbo fast back half where we have 3 tough skips back to back. Kind of similar to Now That We're Men. Not nearly as hard as Now That We're Men, but still pretty tricky. And can really mess up newbie runners as well. And so, fun fact with this button that we're going to see on this switch, or on this bus here, you have to wait for the bus to stop. If you don't, you lose 3 seconds. Like if you hit it early.
A not so fun fact.
Yeah,
honestly.
it's truly a tragedy.
You gotta go slow to go fast for that button.
Yeah, so we got one more bus ride. And
just gotta make sure that I have enough health to get through the rest of the level, which this cycle looks like I should be fine.
Good.
Yeah, you're chilling.
Big chilling.
Yeah. Now I stand right here. I wait for the bus to have this happiness nugget on the left right here to start running. And then that's how I'm just gonna jump around a little cutscene right here and I'm gonna start doing propeller skip.
Yeah, so what he's gonna do, these propellers like on the sort of bumpers have very small hitboxes that are constantly rotating.
Oh,
I'm surprised I didn't make it.
Yeah, that looked like it.
You got robbed.
Your speed got like robbed from you on that second propeller.
Yeah, so all of those propellers, they're constantly rotating. So what you're trying to do is make use of the rotation of the propeller to send you a little bit further forward. But you only have that little dot in the center. The propeller fans themselves don't actually have the hitbox. So this is going to be a little funky because normally when you do that skip, you don't spawn in this screwball enemy. So this will be a little funky. But the next thing we're
get the screwball damage boost.
Nah, please don't.
Oh, we got it.
Let's go.
What a beast.
Jack's saying don't.
Yeah. So what we're going to see here is tub skip. So a lot of the geometry... Oh, well, he's going to take the death here. That's okay.
Yeah, honestly, it's fine. I'm playing it safe for the back half.
So a lot of the geometry in this game doesn't like match what it looks like visually. It's just a bunch of invisible walls that sort of wrap around these objects. And so you can use that property to sort of jump around having to fill up SpongeBob with water and do the intended puzzle there. He's going to activate this part of the puzzle so that it keeps the propeller fans down so that he can do the second propeller jump onto this lamp. This is then going to take him over the invisible wall that is there until you get the bus out of the way, skipping that entire puzzle segment.
There we go, another robot ambush right here, and now that we have the cannon, we can just get those, like, you know, 2 at the start pretty quick, and we're going to use the Squidward Clarinet upgrade to get rid of the rest of them. I'm going to go for one of my favorite tricks in all of speedrunning called HUD jump. Basically, I'm going to hold down left during this cutscene, and when the HUD reappears in the top left, that's when I know that SpongeBob is actionable, and I can get a very optimal jump spin over to the paddle wheel. Really one of the best strats ever.
I always get roasted for explaining that, but then you just had to go and explain it and show me up.
I called dips before because I was like, it's so insignificant, but I love it.
I mean, you found it, right? So it's like,
I guess
the Jack like a money strat.
all right, we're gonna look for a bank shot here. Not quite. So we're gonna go for it on the next cycle. So normally you have to wait for the bumper to be in proper alignment, but you can actually bank shot it as it's rotating. Didn't quite get it there, but that's not a huge deal. It saves like a couple seconds.
And you gotta make sure that you don't stand underneath the treasure chest, or else you'll clip into the ground.
You can jump into the treasure chest, but don't stand underneath it, or else you will get pushed in the bus, then you'll be stuck there for the rest of your life.
Yeah, and you have to basically do the whole level over.
Same thing happens in Rock Bottom. Don't do it there either. I learned that the hard way the other day.
Yeah.
But yeah. We after this, we're going over to probably what is my favorite level in OLSG. Besides Rock Bottom, like Santa's movement is just wild.
Yeah, so this is another one of those levels where all of the happiness objects are located underneath the floor at the start of the level. So in most categories, you can just go out of bounds, grab all the objects, and then just trigger the end of the level. But that's not allowed in this category. So we have to do some workarounds. We're still going to use the kind of same out of bounds setup, but it's a lot more difficult in order to pull off what we intend here. So we're going to kill this cannonball enemy so he's not in our way, because he can shoot us through the wall here. Jump on these steam vents, and then the ceiling here is not tall enough.
Ooh, that's fine. We can get it back up.
Yeah, so he has to be very careful not to knock over too many of these ice cubes. Got the backup, it looks like. And so this ceiling is just not tall enough, so you can just ride the door frame and get out of bounds here. And so he has to sort of navigate his way back towards the start of the level in order to get back to these crates, which have hitboxes through the invisible wall. This lets him get on top of the platform behind the starting door, and then he can make use of sort of this breakable thing in order to get extra height to double jump to a later part of the level. So now his goal here is to ride sort of the part of the ledge that extends past the invisible wall until he can hit a checkpoint trigger, which will then let him warp back and bounce. That's the hard jump. He's going to hit the checkpoint trigger, hit the loading zone, or hit the kill plane. That puts him back in bounds. Nicely done.
That saves like 7 minutes, I think. It's something ridiculous like that.
I don't know if it's 7, but
yeah, actually,
like 3.
The thing is, I've never actually played through Santa in the intended way, so I have no idea.
It's actually not that slow. This level's only like 6 minutes.
Really?
Normal or something.
I stand
So,
corrected.
5 or 6.
But like Jax mentioned earlier in the movie, like those levels wrap around each other. So that's why we were able to get from the start to basically end like almost immediately.
Yeah.
What we're going into here is a 10D skip here.
Because the boss is called the Tenderizer, so we shortened it to 10D skip. And so this is going to be, to our knowledge, we believe this is how it works, is going to be the first example that we'll see a couple of times in the Heavy Iron run, where they put a sort of trigger at the top of an area that just sort of insta-kills the mini-boss. And so there's one in this room right here, and he's going to get clapped back by the boss here. And that's going to send him, if he double jumps at the right time, flying into the center of the room,
There we go.
insta-kills the boss. Nice.
Yeah, that saves so much time. It's a great strat. Shout out to Cube.
Yeah, Q found that by complete accident at a local speedrun meetup at Rochester, a local Speedruns Rochester meetup. And then we had to spend like a good hour or two like reverse engineering how that ended up happening. So nice.
I think that's the only one of those in this game.
Yeah.
Most of, or all of them pretty much, except for that one, are in battle.
Yeah.
The movie doesn't have any.
If I recall correctly, there is a insta-win trigger in the Robopad fight, but it's surrounded by death planes. So it's like impossible to reach
Yeah.
and like actually make it work.
Yeah, no, there's an instant win trigger in Mermaid, or the Mermalayer level, which we're entering right now. So the IL for this is like 7 seconds.
Yeah, so this is a big reason why this category is really fun, because we get to do some advanced out of bounds strats. He's going to start by jumping on this rock formation right here, and hopefully if he does this right, he can land on top of an invisible wall to give him his jumps back. And if not a huge deal. There is a backup where he can jump up this rock and spin at the top. That's going to get him on this pipe. And then there are going to be certain spots, not only in this level, but in certain others, where if you go far enough away, it'll load and like unload different parts of the map for memory optimization purposes. So as a result, what Jack is going to do is get on top of the ceiling of the second to last part of the level, and then clip back in just like that. Use the red pipes here as platforms, and he's already at the final combat segment at the end of the level. And I don't know if somebody wants to take this combat.
Yeah, so this combat here is pretty much like similar to most combats. We want to kill enemies as fast as possible, and we know where almost all the enemies spawn, like where the initial enemies spawn. The quickest way to kill them is a combination of doing the spatula move and also using our cannon shot. But we also have to manage how many cannonballs we use, but thankfully enemies do drop cannonballs for us.
Yeah, so
and ideally, like
a very like specific pattern I'm going for.
It's worth.
Jaggers ideally want to get like double up on enemies if you can to save on hammer swings.
It's worth noting as well that these spinner enemies will reflect back projectile attacks. So you have to be very careful there in order to not accidentally use the wrong attack at the wrong time. But that was a really solid fight.
Yeah, only like a few hits from the hammer enemy that I wasn't expecting, but yeah, that was really solid.
Also, you can get soft lock in this fight, but I didn't want to bring it up and jinx it. There's a chance that the hammer enemy shoots you into the ground, and then you just get stuck underneath the floor, and it's really unfortunate.
Yeah, in that case, you just have to like quit out and then enter the level again.
There's a lot of wax up for this game.
Can they hit you under the level, or?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I can't remember any times where I've had it.
All right, so now we're going into Robo Squidward. This was the boss that was planned to be in battle but got cut, so they put it in this game. And so the way that this is going to work is Jack is going to have to go to the opposite side of each part of the arena in order to get the boss to be vulnerable. This is another example of trying to make sure that we maintain the buff power up, because it will allow us to deal double damage to the boss and to also some of the surrounding enemies. That there's a weird property. So the way that you damage the boss is by using a gumball and sort of launching yourself into the eye of the boss. One of the weird things that can happen is if you deal the final hit to a phase and you take damage once you come back, it won't count the hit.
Oh, I thought I got it. You know, actually, that's good.
Go ahead and kill these spinners. These are the biggest culprits of it. So he's gonna put his hands up in the air like he just doesn't care, and that phase goes down in one hit instead of two because we have the buff count.
Yeah. He just plays peekaboo with you, and you gotta hit him at the right time.
Yeah, he goes in either like one hiding animation, 2 or 3, and you just have to like react to it. There we go.
Yeah, so you can.
You go, Jackson.
Yeah, there's just a safety strat you can do there where you spin off of the spinning attack so that you don't take damage there. It's similar to like a spin boost. You can spin boost off of it, but there's not really a reason to. And then we get to
the
blind
enemies.
shot.
Yeah, hammer enemies just always get in the way there.
yeah.
There's also a bit of RNG in this fight too. Is after each phase ends, RoboSquid has a chance of doing this like laughing animation, which you lose like a few seconds.
There we go.
In an ideal fight, obviously, you don't have that happen at all.
Yeah, looks like we got the
That animation. Yeah, both animations on phase 2 and 3.
I'm gonna get rid of the spinner enemy because he can really kind of mess you up. And there we go. That's RoboSquid. It's a pretty it's actually a little bit of a nerve-wracking boss fight because there are a lot of ways you can just fall into the ground or fall into the water. So we just have to be cognizant of that. But yeah, that's pretty good. And then we get to go to probably the hardest level in the run.
Woo!
Oh yeah. The last like 2 levels, like besides the final boss, are definitely the hardest levels in the run.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous because Kelp Forest exists, but that's besides the point.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, rock bottom is it's like the fundamentals test that fry cooking was, but really kind of pushed to the max. That's like really kind of maintaining your ability to or your ability to maintain buff state throughout the level, which is not easy.
Yeah, so the first thing that Jack's going to go for at the start of this level, this is another level that's broken apart by the level skip glitch, but we have to play this level pretty straightforward in this category. So the first thing we're going to see is as he's moving through the gumball section at the start of this level, he's going to go for the most nerve-wracking jump of all time, which is to skip one of the gumball platforms. It's absolutely the worst. So we'll see if he gets this.
It's so bad I didn't go for it. It's just too nerve-wracking.
Wait, really?
I don't do this.
Hey, we got it.
We got it though. First try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was possible.
It's the worst.
I had one Hundo run, die to it, so I never did it ever again.
You know what?
I
Fair.
lost-
It's like
I
a
lost
couple
from-
seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to be skipping a bunch here by... normally you can't jump in this game when you're on a sliding section as opposed to the previous 2 entries in the series. So what Jack does is he makes use of the geometry there to jump over the section, and then jump past a cutscene trigger and then skip the puzzle right there by jumping to that platform. That platform
clean.
moves up and down. There's like a sort of ebb and flow to the stomach acid here. And so you have the faster you get there, the more likely it is you're there on a good cycle, so that you can just go for a running jump, and it makes that a lot less dangerous.
I hear it's possible to make the jump when it's like at its lowest, but it's like almost impossible.
Just don't.
It's really not worth it to go for.
Also, don't question the anatomy of this monster that we're inside of right now.
Yeah.
We're like in his mouth, his heart's there, his uvula's there, he's like 2 sets of teeth.
There we go.
We entered through another head, so
Yeah, it's like a 2-headed monster.
we're going to skip some of the puzzle here by doing what's called gum jump. You can kind of wedge yourself in between here, and there's enough of a slope there to give you your jump back. And so we're going to see a lot more of that spin hopping movement where, again, Jack is jumping ever so slightly. Layler will press the spin button. That
No
will give him a
way
little bit
here.
of extra speed. He's going to manip the spin ball here. Well played.
Yep.
Yeah, so he really doesn't want to lose his buff here.
Almost got the fast cycle. There we go.
There we go. Yeah, and so fun fact, your upgraded cannonball attack can actually deal damage to you if the explosion hits you, so you gotta be a bit careful there. And then he's gonna go over the top of the crates here, not necessarily because it's faster, but it helps to manip the cannon shot enemy because it has murderous intent. That is the best way I would describe it. And so he's gonna do some gumball skips here with the upgraded spin. That's the scariest of, didn't quite get it.
Yeah, no, I was angled slightly to the right, so I always get nervous with the gumball section here when I have buff, because when you have buff and you hit the geysers, you just die. Like, you just fall into the goo and it's over. But luckily without the buff power up, you kind of have that latency. So this is the point of no return right here. Just gotta make sure I maintain buff state throughout the rest of the level.
Yeah, because that's the final buff power for getting this whole level. So losing it, like, it loses a lot of time just based thoroughly on movement.
There's also an enemy ambush at the very end of the level that we're going to want the buff power up for, because as you've been kind of seeing already, this upgraded spin just destroys enemies. It's really busted. And so because of that, it's really important to try to keep that for the end of the level, so you have that increased damage output, because there are a lot of spinner enemies. There is a Squidward power-up to help you. Some runners take it, some runners don't. I am in the pro Squidward camp when it comes to the final fight in this level.
I'm staunchly anti-Squidward in the final fight.
Yeah, so
I'm pro Squidward.
yeah. So we're now coming up on the Boneyard, which is one of the scariest places in terms of the game's movement. There's just a bunch of laser arrays here, and this is really a good test of your spin hop fundamentals, how quickly you can get them. Because you need to do them in such a way where you don't do the spin while you're landing on the ground. You want to wait for the spin animation to end before you touch down, so that way you can start your next spin hop a little bit faster here. And so we're going to go forward the Jump of Destiny here onto the vertebrae right here. And so he got through here pretty quickly, so I think he's going to go... Oh, he's going to wait.
I'm just going to wait.
I respect it. I think you could have made it.
I wait there every time.
You could have probably made it, but again, if you take any form of damage here, you lose the power-up, and we really want to keep it. So this screwball is probably the most likely place where you do lose it. He got the shot off. Good.
I usually go for the shot earlier, but just did not get it, so I was like, I'm not risking it.
Yeah. And then right here, this spawner is going to give us another spin enemy, which we can then use to spin boost and skip this entire section. I don't think any of us have ever played this as intended. I think we just skip it.
Yeah.
Not even in Honda you do that part. You grab the
hour box and you just skip.
Yeah, now we got the dreaded eel. It's actually not that difficult. It's just getting on this little fence right here. The hitbox is really, or like the collision is very strange. Oh, but we got it.
Nice.
There we go.
Oh, there you go.
And now we're going to be doing some cool stuff here to sort of do the... there's a bunch of cannonball puzzles through here where you're supposed to go to a switch, which lowers down a bumper, which then you can use to hit the targets. And you're supposed to roll a bunch of these explosive balls around in order to get it to work. But what Jack is going to do instead of it is a spin boost to get up to a later section. And then he can actually just use the propellers in order to get to the cannonball switch early. Nice.
That jump's pretty tricky.
That's a scary one to go for.
Especially this late into a run, it's pretty... You kind of have to go for it, but it is pretty terrifying.
Yeah, and if you don't... And that strat, that's a big reason why you want the buff there, is because it makes that jump a lot... you get more distance, so the jump's easier. It is possible to do it without upgraded spin, but don't. Just... The backup strat is really easy. You just do a spin boost over the fence. It's pretty easy to skimp.
Alright, and we're on to the final ambush. I'm going to be going for a few... So with the hammer ability, if you hit to the side of the enemies, you basically deal knockback. And so we're gonna try and hit these smaller enemies into the lava, right here. There we go. Oh, there we go.
Without this, it would be objectively faster to use Squidward, but because this kind of strat is possible, it kind of makes them sort of even. I still think it's faster to get rid of Squid.
I think me and Jack timed it. I think it's pretty much even to do either or.
Yeah, but I've made my stance on Squidward pretty clear. I prefer just doing the regular buff power up.
Yeah, that was honestly really solid level, despite the one. But you went all out, so I respect it.
No, I'm so
well done.
I'm so happy with how that went. There we go.
Yeah, and if that level wasn't hard enough, we've got one more tough platforming level. Not because of just the raw platforming, in that example, but because we have a really nasty hammer clip right at the start of this that will let us basically skip a 10-minute level and do it in 4. It's a really cool strat, but it's pretty brutal because there's a lot of enemies going on. It's another one of those hammer clips. There is a consistent setup for it, but there are more inconsistent setups that are faster. So it's how much time do you want to bet? And I'm kind of egging Jack on a little bit here because I'm not sure what setup he's going to go for. You don't have to do it, but...
I'll go for it.
I was going to also egg him on to do the fast setup.
No, that's fair. How much do you believe? I'll go for it once. We'll see how it goes.
I believe.
Looks like they're in an okay spot. Oh, okay, this might be a little weird. Okay.
I think this works.
Might work.
Oh, we got it! Second try, nice!
Oh my god. Yeah, that's such a YOLO setup right there if I've ever seen one.
setup I developed. But
Yeah.
Shouts to
Shouts
Corbin for that one.
It's
It's a bit more RNG than the traditional setup because like the way the enemies like when they're not aggroed on you, they kind of like do their own thing and walk around. So like they can get in your way sometimes. The hammer ball will not walk over to you. So like a lot can go wrong, but it went very well for Jackson. Very happy for that.
Yeah, that was way better than I was expecting. I'm just really hoping I don't get cha-cha slided. If anybody saw the ESA run that I did of no LSD, you might remember this guy Demento basically just like slid around the room for like a whole minute just doing nothing. So we refer to that as the cha-cha slide. It happens when he gets like stuck on like the box geometry. So you're usually fine after the first hit.
yeah.
Because if you've noticed, like when you break these objects, they still have like, I guess like debris when they break. So like he can get like caught on that and just be off path, and he just starts doing his own thing, his little cha-cha slide.
Yeah, so with regards to this fight, he's doing a very specific movement so that when Demento does his second spin attack, it lines him up on the middle of the back wall. So when he does his last spin attack, it puts him right and it like gets him closer to the middle of the arena so he can become vulnerable. I guess this boss is like I would call this like the final holy grail of this run if we can find a way to speed this up, because there's a trigger that prevents you from bringing a buff power up into this section, which we can normally otherwise do. And that like would like turbo speed this up, but we like cannot find a way to get this. We can't find a way to get a level skip glitch to get the happiness object. Or I think it's like somewhere way out of bounds, if I remember correctly.
I just know it's not at the start.
doesn't it crash the game to grab a happiness object in this level? I think that's what happens. It's known where it is, but it crashes.
Really?
That's wild. I did not know that.
I also
But you
didn't know
can't
that.
even grab it normally anyway, unless you have like moon jump.
Yeah, it's like
That's why we gotta add moon jump at 8% to the leaderboards.
yes, the most sophisticated of categories.
Oh my god, that would just ruin Tendy's skip.
You just fly up there.
Yeah. Whee! So yeah, while we're kind of sort of chilling here with Demento, Amber, I don't know if you had any questions about this particular game or this run, or if anyone in the chat did, but this would be a great time if you had anything you wanted to bring up.
So I need to know, like, of this trilogy, which did and this is a question for all of you because I know all of you have had your hands in some games of this trilogy, if not all of them. Which ones did you start with first?
That's a good question. Who wants to start on that one?
I think you go first, Jack.
That sounds good. I started with Battle. Battle and Movie and like Mario Kart Double Dash are like the three games I really like have been playing longer than I can remember. So I started with Battle when I learned about the speedrunning community in 2017. Then Movie, then Toss.
Yeah, for me,
Actually, the same order as you, Jack.
Really?
I didn't end up finishing a battle run for like 2 years after I started trying to.
Yeah.
Game's hard.
Yeah.
For me, I started, well, in terms of the trilogy, I started with Movie, but initially I started with actually Creature from the Krusty Krab as my first SpongeBob speed game.
That was the Creature. Diesel Dreaming ILs for life.
For me, I started with SpongeBob Movie in 2015, and then I kind of did a little bit of Battle, but as we'll talk about once we get to that segment, Battle for Bikini Bottom was really hard, and I was just like, I'm not about that. And then a couple years later, I picked up Truth or Square. So I picked it up in, I believe, I picked up Movie in 2015, Truth or Square in 2016, and then I kind of did Battle here and there throughout that. But I play the remake, Rehydrated, more than I play OG. It's a cool run too. You should check that one out as well. But that's not what
A bit of some Truth or Square lore is that Jaxler taught me Truth or Square at SGDQ 2019.
Yeah. And then we would go on to race the game. It would have been another 2 summers later, I think.
Yeah, it was 2020 SGDQ. Just 2021.
Yeah.
21.
If you want to see what an 80% run looks like, you should go check that out.
It cuts the game in half, which is an already pretty short run.
Yeah, so welcome to Robopat. Or, sorry, Roboplankton.
All good.
I done beefed it.
Yeah, this is Roboplankton. It's essentially kind of broken up into 3 phases. We just have to get to the end of a platforming section, and then we go into like the core of the Roboplankton, robot, and we just have to defeat the core after kind of like disabling the Duplicatortrons. You'll see it when we get there. It's relatively easy in phase 1, but phase 2 and 3 you have to make sure that you keep, or at least phase 2 you have to make sure that you keep up going into the core.
Yeah, it's another one of those kind of fundamentals checks where even though it like seems really straightforward, there's a pretty clear difference between how a higher level runner of this game takes this level versus someone who's starting out.
Yeah. This level's sort of out. You could almost think of it like an auto scroller. At least like the rooftop run section's kind of an auto scroller a little bit. It's really like a guided rail section because you have to basically guide a Roboplankton along as long as you kill enemies fast enough. But here's the heart that Jack was talking about earlier. We have to defeat the core 3 times in order to beat the boss.
Oh, you got robbed too. So something that can happen there is you can lose your buff power up even though you're invincible if an enemy's attack makes contact with you during the cutscene. So Jack got a little robbed there, which is unfortunate, but
you have to use the cannon to really speed up these next couple hits.
These enemies are chunky too, so
yeah.
The one thing
I gotta be careful of the spinner enemy for the cannon.
The one thing that is nice is because it'll take Jack a little bit longer to kill these enemies, it'll actually change which enemies spawn. So it'll probably mean that we got the yellow hammer robot there as opposed to like another big robot, which makes that a little faster.
I think weird thing about these just like knocked him off the
I was about to say, I think you almost pushed that spinner bot guy off the cliff. The weird thing about those enemies that like those big, the big spinnerbot and hammerbot guys are scaled weird in this level. They're like SpongeBob size in this level now, for some reason.
It's really funky.
The game is consistent.
Yeah, it's also worth noting as well that it is possible to get to the where the gumball is, and like jump around all the invisible walls. But you have to get Roboplankton over here, otherwise the level just doesn't work. I think that was something that Cole found like 5 years ago. Maybe earlier than that. I don't know.
That was to Cole, the OG legend.
Yeah, he's done numerous things for every single SpongeBob game under the sun.
Yeah, also a pretty big legend in the Oddworld scene as well, if I remember correctly. Yep. So still doing some runs in there. So shout outs to Cole if you're still around. Hope you're doing well.
And he's even been doing runs of the PC game, SpongeBob SquarePants Krabby Quest.
Oh, that's
wait, really?
Yeah, goated game, by the way.
Dang, unbelievable.
So I maintain buff on the phase where it doesn't matter.
Yeah, there's another one of those triggers where it just kills your buff power up going into the 3rd phase. It like doesn't exist on the Wii version, if I remember correctly.
Really?
Or I don't remember it existing on the Wii.
I remember hearing about this, but I remember watching reruns.
And it not happening?
I heard a different thing. It was that I heard a long time ago that reruns would keep buff going into the core in phase 3, but that's actually not true.
Oh, it's not true? Oh, so once again, me spreading misinformation. Apologies.
Yeah, classic Jackson spreading misinformation on the internet.
I can't believe
his second favorite pastime.
Yeah, just wait till we get to battle and I try to explain cruise boosting.
Okay. One of Jackson's classic praise. Yeah, no, as far as the what was I gonna say? I forgot what I was gonna say. Just keeping buff is just really annoying in this level because stuff like that can happen where you just lose it. But we're coming up on the end time. We just have to go into the core again, and there's gonna be like a puff of like white smoke that comes up when we attack it. That's gonna be when time is. So I'll let you know when that is. I just gotta go over to the right just to I want to like try and keep the spinner enemy attacking just so that he can attack the core with me and speed it up a little bit.
Enemies can actually damage the generators as well as the heart, so it's not a guarantee, but it's a nice little thing that can help out with the DPS. But
the snipes,
yeah, gotta go for it. Doesn't speed it up at all, but it's cool. And time.
Nice.
That's true to square. No, I'm pretty happy with how that went, especially Rock Bottom. That was a really great segment. That and Kelp.
It seems like this run went pretty smoothly, honestly.
Yeah.
I think you got like a I-43, which is pretty good.
I'll take that. That is really solid. For reference, my RTA PB is, I think, 4150, or I think it's 4149.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly.
That's right.
The thing I was gonna say was, if we could go into the final phase with buff, I actually think we would be the fastest versions with LRT, just to speed that up by quite a bit.
Yeah.
But that'd be a wild alternate universe. But yeah, that's Truth or Square. We found the secret formula. Mr. Krabs had it in his back pocket. Spoilers. And so that's gonna be the second leg of the Heavy Iron No Major Skips trilogy.
Heck yeah, and that was about we're at a 220.54 right now in total, about 43-41-ish in this segment.
I'll take that.
Nice.
To kind of break that down for you. Thank you, Richard, who is doing production for us, for giving me that breakdown. And we have one more game going with this trilogy here, and that is going to be the original release of Battle for Bikini Bottom. And my goodness, every time I've seen the trivia screens on this game, like SpongeBob's position has his like arms coming out of his what would be his like ears or the top of his head, and it's been messing me up every time.
Yeah.
The anatomy of a sponge, but. We'll be taking a quick break. I just want to remind everyone that Games Done Quick is hiring. If you have experience in social media creation and you want to help out at our live events, do be sure to go check out gamesdonequick.com/jobs to apply. So we'll be right back in just a few minutes with some Battle for Bikini Bottom.
See you guys.
Hello everyone, welcome back to episode 12 of Passion Project, the variety show that encourages anyone in the speedrun community to showcase the projects that they're working on. My name is Amber Cyprin, I am still your host tonight, and I am joined still by Jackalaka and the Krusty Krab commentary crew. We are working on the final segment of the SpongeBob Heavy Iron Trilogy. For anyone who's just joining, the SpongeBob Heavy Iron Trilogy is a multi-game speedrun where you play not one, not two, but 3 SpongeBob games back to back to back that were developed by Heavy Iron Studios. We just finished up SpongeBob's Truth or Square, and the first segment was the SpongeBob SquarePants Movie, the video game, and we are running right into the first chronological game in the trilogy, Battle for Bikini Bottom. Jackalaka, if I can actually get the other A out, take it away.
Yeah, no, we're finishing off with Battle for Bikini Bottom. My personal favorite speedrun. I just absolutely love this run. We're gonna be doing any percent today because we don't really have any like skips in battle that are similar enough to the ones that we, ban in No Major Skips for like Truth or Square and Movie. So we're just gonna be going through the regular like any percent route with a few classic levels that you don't see in most current routes. So timing's gonna start when I press no on autosave. So you guys ready for the countdown?
I'm most certainly ready for it.
Sounds good. All right, for one last time, we got 3, 2, 1, go. All right, and we are off.
And one last time, good luck, Jack.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, good.
Battle for Bikini Bottom basically starts out with us getting 50 shiny objects, which is the main currency in the game, and that's going to allow us to access SpongeBob's closet and collect the first golden spatula. That's basically like the main collectible of the game. We need to get 75 of them to access the Chum Bucket Lab, which is the final level in the game. So we're basically just going to be going through collecting golden spatulas from each of the levels. Each level has 8, and we're going to be getting some Patrick and Mr. Krabs ones that we'll explain a bit later.
Yeah.
First,
so,
we're you can explain.
Yeah. So
Jack.
Jack is setting up a glitch here called Hans Disable. We mentioned in the movie run that there's this guy named Hans that will pull you off camera when you enter out of bounds. And so what Jack is going to do is prevent that feature from happening. He sets up a state where the taxi pulling him into jellyfish fields gets interrupted, and then he has Hans pull him into that sort of loading zone. So then Hans is on screen while the level transition into JF starts, meaning that like Hans never like goes away properly. So he basically is disabled and no longer will grab you when you're out of bounds. And that's going to be super useful at the start here. There's normally a giant like Hans trigger here that would prevent you from grabbing the sock and spatula, but we can just grab the spatula, fall into here in Death Warp. And then similar to in movie, once we grab a spatula, we can warp to its sort of mission start location, and that's going to allow us to skip multiple different segments of levels in this game. It really opens up the routing opportunities in this game. So the next thing the next thing we're gonna see coming up is something called Hammer Skip, which is a pretty difficult strat. What he's gonna do is he's gonna lure one of these hammer robots over to the side on top of this rock. And then, similar to in movie, the last place that you've stood on is considered like safe ground. So you get nice in the one frame too. Nice. So he uses the robot to like reset his safe position to a high spot, and he can use a one frame jump to get up and over the ledge and skip another part of that section. If it's kind of broken up into 3 different segments, we're going to see all of that one, and then about half of the second segment, and then we're gonna leave and not come back.
Yeah, we used to go down this, like, there are kind of like a few slide segments, not like full slide levels like in movie, except for Sand Mountain, which is basically like 3 big slide levels back to back. But we're just going to be getting these 2 Patrick socks right here. Then I'm going to do a little bit of a cutscene trigger, or a cutscene like Death Warp after getting a checkpoint. I'm going to be doing Pat's Hammer. Yeah,
so what Jack's going to try to do here, again, in this game you can't buffer the Y input for a bash like you can in movie. So what he's going to do is take damage instead, have it so that it sort of hits him along the ground instead. Almost got it on the backup.
That backup is so cool together.
I was so close. So he knows exactly when the hammer robot's going to spawn in, so he can manipulate the attack. Gonna have to go for a backup here. Not quite gonna work. So this track can be kind of obnoxious. So
yeah, backup. Yeah.
Oh, one frame.
I have to get the 1 frame there in order to back that one up. That's a really tricky skip. The
nice thing is because the checkpoint is right there, he can just reload the fight and try this over and over. This allows him to essentially skip this entire combat section. Nice, here we go.
Hey, there we go.
So instead of getting the 1 frame, if he's on solid ground for a little bit, he gets Coyote time, which allows him to get that bash input off. And we'll be seeing that a couple of more times, especially when we get to oil skip later on.
I have to make sure Jack is talk to crabs.
Yeah, Jack is actually walking around crabs to avoid talking to him. He's setting up for a spatula duplication later in the run that we'll see actually pretty early. You do like right before entering Dream.
Yeah, we're gonna actually get so there's been like a lot of route changes in Battle's history. My route has about 21 spatulas that I get in the early game. Some people get basically the bare minimum, but I get 6 extra. So we'll be getting quite a few, and one of them is going to be a duplicated spatula.
Yeah, so next objective is smashing the tikis here. So this is kind of a newer age strat where instead of going up and breaking these, the traditional strat was to manually break the explosive tikis, but instead what you can do is actually, I guess more or less the intended solution, and use the sinks from the cannon to actually break these for him. And it kind of all gets him in one nice shiny object combo. So he's going to wait for this last one.
Here. There we go. Yeah, that's a pretty quick backup. Luckily, we got all the other ones with the cannon. Then the anvil takes care of it.
Yeah, and once we grab this spatula, this is also going to be the first time where we're going to really see how powerful Hans Disable is. If you see that red dotted line in the background with like the dark patch of sand, that's the out of bounds territory. And you'll see like SpongeBob do a crawling animation to like try to crawl his way back in bounds. And if you're in that animation for too long, Hans will appear. But when you have Hans disabled, if you jump during this animation, you actually get more time to hang out of bounds. So it actually allows him to go out of bounds and around here and then back in bounds, which allows him to skip a portion of the level. And then this is going to let us set up for a really cool trick called VMS, which I'm going to hand over the cornbread.
Yeah, so a weird quirk with how the SpongeBob works is that it's actually a different player than SpongeBob himself. So when he turns into the SpongeBob, the actual SpongeBob is still on the tiki. And because of the shush tikis, it'll move upwards, making actual SpongeBob move up. And the frame he leaves the SpongeBob, all of that upwards movement will happen instantly when he goes back into regular SpongeBob. And by pausing the game, he can time an A press to jump with all that momentum going upwards to shoot up in the sky like that. And right now he's going to do it a second time.
Yeah, and what he can end up doing is with that pause input, he can then warp into a different area, and then if he unplugs his controller, it'll input a pause the frame he loads in. So then he can time the A press as soon as he unpauses. This is going to let him get the swinging spatula here, and avoid all the invisible walls that are normally here, which is a really nice little skip of free spatula right there. And because he did that, he gets the cardboard box as well for free, which puts him like halfway into this segment of downtown.
Yeah, the teleport
the
box
cardboard box.
Oh yeah, you go, Sam.
Yeah, I was saying the way that cardboard box work in this game is that like normally you need like to actually use them, you need to have both of them open to transfer between both boxes. But if you have like the later in the level box open only, it actually lets you open up the early one without even going to both of them. So it allows us to go from way later part of the level to like you can basically skip like a large portion of the level by going to the box earlier than intended.
Oh, got a 1-frame jump there. That's what we were talking about in movie, where like you don't want to get a 1-frame jump on the ground like that, because I could have easily just fallen there, but luckily with Sandy we're all good.
Yeah, and now we're going to be heading into Lighthouse, which has some of the most like ancient strats in this game. People have been doing kind of the same sort of stuff here for years. He's going to jump on the doorknob here onto the door frame. He's going to use that bash in order to let him pivot around midair. So that he can jump to that sock. That sock is normally accessed via trampolines that you can activate.
Oh, no.
What even hit you there?
I've never seen that.
Yeah, I stood too close to the Duplicatotron. Luckily, this one is just like those robots, so it's not too difficult to get rid of them. So.
Yeah. The next part of the floor breaks as soon as all enemies and Duplicatortrons are cleared. So what Jack is trying to do, unfortunately didn't quite get it. What you want to ideally do is destroy all of them before they... so just hit the Duplicatotron before it has a chance to spawn in enemies is kind of the goal. And he's going to take damage right here to grab that wheel through the electricity right there, just a small little time saver so that when he grabs the spatula, he can just kind of leave immediately. He's actually not...
a rough lighthouse right there.
It happens. Sometimes that just does not go your way. Sometimes the game is rude. But what we're going to do here is normally we would just warp away, but we're actually going to go out the door so we can set up another instance of VMS and then use the pause in order to take that into the hub. And that's going to allow us to essentially get over the invisible walls that divide the different parts of the hub and allow us to get to like different levels before like beating certain bosses. Just going to set it up right here. We'll see if he gets this. I didn't quite get it.
No.
All good. Yeah, it's like it's a 1-frame input, and it's really hard to press like B and then A the next frame. So I'm just gonna go back here to learn Sandy's moves and just set it up again on this one. So just save the position. That should be good.
Something else I want to quickly point out is the wheels he's collecting. He's not collecting them for the actual spatula.
Oh, there we go.
Collecting a nice. He's collecting a certain amount of wheels set up for a glitch later in the run.
Yeah, and so this is not only going to take him like all the way over the invisible wall, but also to on top of the shady shoals, which again gives him the spatula so that he can then warp to this hub later. Our goal right now is to get sort of all of the freestanding spatulas in hub so that we have full warp access throughout the hub. And so now he's going to do Roebuck here. He's going to do SpongeBob storage in order to activate SpongeBob on top of this platform and then roll up this invisible wall, hopefully. Not quite.
Didn't get it.
One for the little backup there. Not a huge deal. So the way that SpongeBob storage works as sort of like a prerequisite for the VMS stuff is if you you'll transform into SpongeBob once you've been on the ground for long enough. And so if you jump, it sort of delays that happening so you can sort of activate SpongeBob at will. Nice. There you go. Second try.
Thank God, Chinese.
It's not actually a timing thing. It's because of the double jump animation.
Oh, it's the animation timer?
Yeah,
Okay.
When you land on the ground, that animation has priority over literally every other animation SpongeBob.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the double jump animation. Also, you have to be neutral when landing too.
Yeah.
Yeah, or else you walk and then that'll override.
And then we're going to get wall jump in the bucket. This is a quick one for early game as well. We need 15 spatulas to access Robo Sandy, but really sort of the critical mass that we need is to make sure we can get 40 for the Robo Patrick boss fight. So just any little quick ones we can get is really nice. And that'll also grab us the warp for later. So at the very end of the run, we can teleport straight inside the chum bucket, which will make things a lot more convenient for us. And so now
Jack wants to be sure to have 3,000 shinies by once leaving Krusty Krab here to set up for the crab dupe spell.
Wow, just about perfect.
Yeah, I'm just gonna cancel out that text box, and if I do that, then that'll give me the Mr. Krab spatula and the Krusty Krab spatula on the same go. And it'll update the counter when I go into Dream. But yeah, we're gonna try and collect all of the shiny objects that we can during this run to pay for the Mr. Krab spatula. So we're going to be getting all 8 of them. We're going to be getting, I believe, 20 Patrick spatulas, or 20 Patrick socks to get 2 spatulas from him. Right now
the way that socks work is they work basically the same as blue coins do in Super Mario Sunshine.
Yeah, so right here, Jack is going to do a strat here where there's just a little bit of geometry on the side of this cube that will give him his jump back, and he can use that to reach the trampoline. Normally you have to pay like a shiny object tax to a clam to make the rest of the trampolines appear, but that lets him get up there. And he's also going to enter Squidward's dream, but immediately leave. He just wants the warp for later because it'll be faster to come back at a later time. Now we're going into Sandy's dream. So we're going to be doing something really cool. This is another like dedicated sort of slide level segment. But because we have Hans disabled, we can use Sandy's hover ability to hover to the acorn that has this spatula on it in the center. And then the checkpoint trigger for on top of the acorn is essentially a sphere, and part of that sphere clips through the bottom of the acorn. So you can actually hit the checkpoint and then death warp, and that gets you up to the spatula early. And we're going to go for skydive. Whee!
That's Skywise, great runner, and most recent winner of BFPV tournament.
Yeah, Sky's done so much for this game and for movie as well, so huge shout outs to them.
Warping back, we're actually talking to Mr. Krabs this time, and then we're going to be jumping around here. And I made a mistake, but I'm going to pretend like I didn't until I warp to it. See if you can spot what I messed up in the route. We're just going to get
I know what it is.
The Squid's house sock right here. And we're going to work back and do oil skip because I forgot it.
I was not paying attention. That escaped my mind too.
Yeah, so this is going to be a similar type of strategy to what we saw with the Dilemma boost, except we're going to be doing it off of this oil projectile. So he has to manipulate the oil robot to send it in a specific spot and hit a very specific part of it. Looks good.
There we go.
Nice, first try.
Well, skip's rough.
That skip is rough, and it's kind of one of the noob killers of this game. Again, like I said earlier, this game's hard, which is why I don't really run it. It's kind of cool though because both this game and Rehydrated have a version of that skip, but they're kind of different how you execute it. It's kind of cool.
And this actually didn't even lose that much time because I could just warp to Patrick from here.
And you're good.
The final. Yeah. So honestly, in the warping for the menu, not too bad. So we're just gonna go to Poseidon. This is like the first like major boss fight of the game. I have a quite the history with this one because there was a category, and there still is a category called Robo Sandy RTA, or as many of us know it as 16%, where we basically just pretend like Robo Sandy's the final boss of battle. Really great category. I always loved running it, and. But as far as like the Poseidon boss fight itself, we're basically just manipulating Sandy to attack immediately every time that we go into the center of the arena. So as long as I just stand right here, she just immediately goes for the attack. And I have to be careful of like when I ground pound because if I do it too early, then it doesn't work, and obviously lose time if I do it late. So I'm just gonna try and manipulate her to go into a very specific spot. I want to have her a certain distance away from each of these like kind of like these ropes in order to basically go for her attack quicker. If she's too close to them, then she'll walk to the other side of the arena because she kind of knows what you're doing. She realizes that you're trying to like speed this up. So she.
Oh, the swag jump off the tail too. That was hype.
You gotta go for it, you know. Very unnecessary, but I love going for it.
The funny thing about this fight, I'll just cover real quick, is that you can't. So the weird way this boss works is that instead of there being like an end level trigger in this boss, the actual spatula for collection is still loaded at all times underneath the actual arena. You can collect it, but it does not consider you beating the boss. It does not give you the bull power up for collecting it. So we can't actually skip this boss, sadly.
Yeah, but honestly, I don't think it's much of a loss because I personally really like this item. It's like a little bit of just a break before you get into the calamity that is mid game.
That's pretty rough.
Blue Lagoon is pretty much like the only segment until like Dutchman where we're gonna pretty much be doing everything, and so we'll be doing that right after Poseidon. But phase 3, at this point I usually get up and like take a stretch break if I'm actually doing runs because you can just stand here and you have like a good 15 seconds. But
yeah, the manip here I find to be a lot easier with SpongeBob than it is with Patrick.
Yeah. You can just kind of go back and forth, and you're good. As long as you just like start over here, then go in a bit of a wide circle, you're all good.
I also just got to shout out the banner in the back with like SpongeBob and the little shorts and the red boxing gloves. It's just so funny.
It's legendary.
He's ready to rumble.
Yeah, there's a lot of small, just like attention to detail in battle. Like I love how the pitch announcer, you can see him on screen and in person. That's actually kind of interesting because like the in like SpongeBob's house, out of bounds, you can actually see the fish announcer in like a TV frame. Like it cuts to it in like the actual cutscene, but that's like real objects in 3D space that the camera just like points to. So it's kind of one of the instances of that. But now we're going to be going over to Goo Lagoon. Going to go for a little bit of a taxi pad skip right here.
Ooh.
That didn't work?
Very
Okay.
close.
Yeah, so
it's really finicky.
So in this game, we get our upgrades by defeating bosses. So we just got Bubble Bowl for SpongeBob here, nice little damage boost. And this is going to be another out of bounds strat that is going to be possible due to Hans disable, but he has to make sure he's not out of bounds for too long here. Otherwise, Hans will rear his head and he will eat you. That was a nice little boost right there. He's going to talk to Larry right there. That's going to give him another spatula objective in his warp menu. Is he going to get the damage boost? Not quite.
That's a tough
No
one.
fat guy skip.
So we're going to see a really sick strat here called Sponge Glide. He's going to do a damage boost to send him flying back towards this lifeguard tower, do a slam, and then if he hopefully catches the side of some of these hitboxes right, you'll see a funny thing happen. That looks good?
Okay.
Nice.
Think we
Second try is
should
pretty
be
good.
Okay, yeah.
So the way that this level is set up is there's supposed to be like this puzzle segment where you're supposed to redirect a bunch of lasers to kill this robot, but you can just smack him, and then that just that just activates the end of that challenge right there. So now,
Full extended jump.
yeah,
Let's go.
so good.
That's to Frongo for showing me that. That is
It's-
just such a great stat.
It's so much better than the old strat there. And now because we're all the way over here, like Jack was talking about, we can go through Goo Lagoon backwards, and that allows us to get through a lot of these objectives really quickly here. So the first thing he's going to do is destroy these robots. There's 2 objectives that we need to complete in order to get the Goo Lagoon Pier spatula for Mr. Krabs, and one is for clearing bumper boats, and the other is for clearing a kiosk at the start of the area. So he's going to start off with bumper boats, grab the sock, and then we're going to be setting up for a really cool trick here that if you have followed this game at all, you know what's coming. Get your 30s ready in chat. We are going
I'll
to be
say sound warning. Sound warning is
massive volume warning, by the way.
Yeah, don't worry, I'll turn down the sound effect volume, but maybe it might not be enough.
Yeah. So what Jack is doing here is he's bringing 2 stone tikis over to the sort of skee ball machine over there. And normally you don't even have to bother with that in casual play. It's just a nice little, cute little mini game where you can throw a bubble bowl into there, and if it goes in one of the holes, it'll give you a couple shiny objects, and it's just a funny little thing. What we're gonna do though is we're gonna make use of its existence to farm a lot of shiny objects. And so what Jack is doing is he's gonna use these stone tikis and throw them into the skee ball challenge. And so he's doing a very specific lineup so that they land in the right place. The placement on the first one is very precise, but then the other one, he can use the auto target to put it in the right spot. He's looking for his lineup here.
Okay.
Looks
Not quite.
I didn't really like grab the stone tiki head on, so it made the set. I'm just gonna make sure I have it lined up. There we go. Alright, let's try again.
Yeah, so this is very, very particular. Otherwise, this glitch will not work. So, using specific camera and visual cues to understand exactly where it's going to go. That looks a lot better. So then, again, once he gets the first one set up, the other one is free because of the throw targeting mechanic. And so now what he's going to do, again, you can't do this without Hans, unless Hans is disabled because there's a Hans trigger in here. And so what he's going to do is you're gonna throw a bowl, and it's just gonna get stuck between the tikis, and it's just gonna vibrate in and out of the trigger to give you the 30-point reward from the skee ball. And our shiny object count is gonna go crazy high, crazy quick.
Yep.
So it does take a little bit to get all the way up, but what we're gonna do is grab a couple other spatulas on the way while we're finding all the shiny objects. So we're gonna do
these
flag jumps.
Solid.
And he's going to do another bash turnaround. Nice, first try. That jump is a lot harder than it looks. That's another new killer strat.
It's one of those I'm just surprised I got that first try. Usually I get it like fourth. Yeah.
You have like perfect jump spacing for that jump to actually work.
Yeah, and then while we're still farming, we're going to go ahead and grab the Freezy Fruit objective. We have a couple of those in this game too. But again, because Hans is disabled, we can just do a cool jump off the slide and grab it from underneath the platform. Get a little bit of extra shinies in there for the hype.
I was going for a one-frame strat there, but I didn't get it. It's all good.
Yeah. So it's still just counting. Like, it doesn't look like we have that much, but then it like stops counting and just like, holy crap.
Generally for this round, you want like 42,000, so we're well above what we need.
Yeah, so not only is Jack going to be able to purchase all of the Mr. Krabs shiny object spatulas, which is going to be another 8 to his 75 count total, which makes this glitch really fast. It's also going to allow him to have access to Sea Needle later, as well as a couple of different things. So it's really, really important. And then he does a Death Warp there where he throws the Thunder Tiki while falling off, so he does another cutscene skip with the Death Warp. And then we're going to go through CKs backwards, which is just going to completely skip that part of the level.
Yeah, the amount of levels that we get to do backwards in this game is it's unreal. Like it makes Goo Goo just an absolute breeze to get through.
Yeah, it's really weird to go to this level. Like when I played Rehydrated casually, it was really weird doing this level in intended order. I was so used to doing it in a speedrun.
Yeah, so Jack is going to get a free spatula here, and then we'll see if he gets the damage boost, because he likes to go for one here off this hammer. But he's going to set up for a really difficult trick where he's going to be, so there's a platforming challenge that's normally accessed by Patrick with the throw, but the button's hitbox is always there, so he's going to attempt to snipe it with a really precise bull shot. We'll see if that one worked. Doesn't quite look like it.
There we go.
Oh, we got it!
Go.
Nice. That's really, really hard.
You're
You're just hitting an invisible button. It's really funny.
And it's funny, too. That works on Rehydrated as well, but the setup is different. So.
Yeah. Now, Jackson and I were recording marathon runs. We were hanging out, and he saw me miss that for like 3 minutes. So getting it first try, I'm so happy about that.
Yeah, so now we're going to head to Shady Shoals. We're going to do half of Rock Bottom here. We're going to we're doing Sandy's Street Dome
we're
first.
doing Street Dome first.
I always forget.
We'll be going for kind of a difficult bubble bowl setup right here.
Bank shot, hit the Duplicatotron in the back. Again, in a lot of these fights, your priority is the Duplicatotrons because the fight ends when everything is off screen, and they'll resummon more. So you want to get those out of the way early. And so he's going to...
So we'll be seeing a very cursed 3D model here, SpongeBob as well. And a special animation skip right now.
Oh, I didn't get it. I didn't press R. That's fine.
God, that's nightmare fuel.
It's pretty bad. Anywho, now, okay, we don't have to see it anymore. So now we're going to be headed into Rock Bottom, which is one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite levels in the game. It's just hype. And in this route, we're actually going to split it up into 2 trips. one before RoboPatrick and one after RoboPatrick. So we get the Mrs. Pop Warp right there. That's going to be important for later. And Jack is going to do another one of those sort of bash setups where he's going to take damage while sliding off a ledge. And that is the end of the level right there. Oh, we didn't quite get it? No. So whenever he like falls far out of bounds, he actually has to reload the level because Hans is disabled, so he would just fall forever. So gonna set this up one more time.
Yeah, luckily that didn't lose like too much time. There we go.
Yeah, especially on hard drive loads, because this game runs on a hard drive, so loads are very quick in this game.
And because we're going backwards, I think he's gonna go for the animation skip. Nice. So
just warp over to the Trench of Darkness.
And he's going to grab one more spatula here. We're going to hopefully see another one of those sort of bash boost setups. It's kind of weird to call them bash boosts because kind of different tech.
Slide bash?
It's funky. Was that the one frame?
That wasn't the one frame.
It looked like he didn't touch ground, so I almost popped off there for a second. But
I was thinking of going for one frame sleepy, but maybe in another run. In another
life. Yeah, and so now we're going to go ahead and buy all of these crab spatulas.
Actually, yeah, this is a really good time. Like, if there's any questions or anything you want to add, Amber, like, go right ahead, because we're just cashing in right now.
So chat wants to know who does speedrun the rehydrated version of the game, and I know that Jaxler plays that more than this version.
So, I have a bit. I forgot to, like, upload my times. I know, does Toxicroak still runs?
Maybe.
Maybe.
I read on a release, and I have not touched it since.
I think Kaons is really the one who's still doing Rehydrated, but I think a lot of people are playing Cosmic Shake right now. You know, since that's the more recent one. It's also a bit of a shorter run.
Yeah. Another record holder, Chino, I think.
Oh yeah, Chino as well. Yeah, there's definitely some.
Weirdly enough, there's a lot of crossover with actually Mario speedrun is like there's a lot of Odyssey runners that have ran Rehydrated, funnily enough.
Yeah, I know. Here's the Pringles profile picture. I'm trying to remember his Chaos Pringle. Yeah, that's him. I know he's done runs as well.
You mean there's a SpongeBob Leapster game? Sorry, I'm looking for the Rehydrated leaderboard to see like the latest runs, but like there's a lot of SpongeBob games. My goodness.
Oh yeah.
And it's like every one of them has something different to offer people, and that's what I think makes the SpongeBob community really fun. Is there's just so many different people who are all like nerds about like specific things with the series. It's really cool. You know, you have like a lot of us who are like, you know, just kind of heavy iron specialists. But you also have people who are like, I don't know, really into Creature or like really into the GBA stuff. Like there's like a bunch of people who just run the GBA port of Movie, which is itself a great run. There's a great task of it on YouTube that you should go check out if you're looking for more SpongeBob stuff to watch later.
I'd be remiss if I didn't shout out all the people who participated in the GBA-a-thon back in 2017.
Oh my goodness.
That's a throwback right there.
I feel so bad for whoever had to do Battle GBA.
Yeah.
That run is like an hour and a half long. It's...
I think now it's sub 1. I think now it's sub 1.
It's sub 1? Ain't no way.
Yeah.
They actually made it a good...
That game's one of the most optimized.
They actually made it a good speed game. I can't believe it.
Yeah, they have duping and everything in that.
Oh, that's tight. Okay.
Oh, okay. I almost felt
we really mentioned we are in RoboPatrick now.
Yeah, this is an infamous boss, both casually and in the run. But there's been a lot of work done in order to optimize and manipulate this boss. Because he likes
manipulation. Phase 2.
He likes to spin around, and the direction that he'll bounce off is actually dependent on where your character is located and where they're moving. So if you move inconsistent in specific ways, you can sort of get RoboPatrick to be in predictable places every time. Now, obviously, it's one of the... Yeah, so right there, Jack knew exactly where it was going to be. It was right near his foot, so... He's also doing a strat where he intentionally takes damage off of what I call the vomit attack, because the sort of chest beating animation is faster than waiting the entire attack out. And so these manips will become really important once we get to phase 3, because the goo is going to go all the way up to the conveyor belts, and we really want RoboPatrick to be in the center middle platform, right sort of close to the edge, so that we can nail him with a bull shot really quick instead of having to go along some of the slow conveyors in order to get it to work. You should be good. Nice.
Yep.
Save.
Also, normally there you can actually delay skipping that cutscene to skip the attack cycle initially.
I
Jack,
didn't know
did you not
that.
know about that? Oh, really? I think it was a new discovery for like a few years ago. Like if you delay that cutscene there, it skips the vomit attack in the start of phase 3.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. I am infamously bad at implementing new strats, so I just like some of these new things. I just, even if it's like 2022 or something like that, I still just
Yeah, so
catching on to these.
unfortunately, Jack didn't quite get the manipulator, which is going to put Robopat back in here. But it's one of those things where generally, if something goes wrong, because it's pretty precise to get these manips, there have been a lot of backups developed for different like situations and positions. So this is very much a game knowledge check when you get to this point of the run. So yeah, he's doing like a little bit of doubling back there. Got kind of unlucky with the way some of those droplets were positioned. So
Yeah.
I think he might be backwall again. Yeah, unfortunate. But
You know what? I'm going for the Cole setup. We're doing the backup. Legends speak of this. We gotta go on, instead of the corner, we're gonna go on this conveyor belt. I'm just gonna dash. Go.
And after this belt, we'll be getting access to the cruise bubble, which is the second most important item, allowing us to go fast in this game.
it's gonna, yeah, the run is really gonna pick up once we get past this fight. This should be good. Oh,
Woo!
unlucky.
Oh, if you get hit, even though Google on the ground, if you hit by the middle, restart the attack phase, even if he's all on the ground.
Yeah, so
Alright.
that phase 3 was pretty terrible, but it's all good. We're going over to Sand Mountain, and this is where this deviates from my like PB route. Because normally I would do Larry Time Challenge skip, but I am really bad at that trick. And while it's super cool, this does give me the opportunity to replace it with some classic strats
Yeah.
that you'll get to see.
So this is where we get introduced to the classic glitch. If you know the speedrun, you know cruise boosting. So what Jack is doing is making use of, he's pressing bowl and cruise boost on the same frame next to a wall. And so what that does is it interrupts the bowl animation. And whenever you're bowling in this game, the game kind of continually moves you forward until the bowl ends. But you're canceling the animation so that forward momentum never gets stopped. So essentially, once Jack triggers this glitch, he has continuous momentum in whichever way SpongeBob is facing. And so you can use that to get very high speed. And it lets you do some nonsense. And so he's going to get a cruise boost here. He's coming back to Goo Lagoon to save the children. And so depending on how quickly, again, these are, you have to hit these buttons on the same frame. So it's pretty tricky to set up cruise boosts. But when you do, you have access to a really cool movement toolkit. So again, you're constantly getting pushed by this momentum. So it's actually a bit difficult to control and a bit difficult to turn because you can't ever really go backwards if you have like the optimal amount of speed out of a cruise boost. And so because of that,
You basically have like tank controls, basically. If you imagine like old like games like Tomb Raider and stuff like that, your controls are very similar to that.
yeah. And so
we go.
that was a good backup cycle. So yeah, as you can see, still moving even though he's like in an animation.
There we go, and I'm gonna go to downtown. There we go.
Yeah, so that's going to be used all over the course of the run in order to do some really, really funky stuff. So he's going to set up another cruise boost right here. Got it first try right there. He's going to go ahead and grab one wheel right here. And we're going to go ahead and head into Seed Needle. This is another one of those sort of route deviations from what would be optimal for this category. But Jack's going to show it off because it's kind of hype and it's a lot more consistent for marathons. So we're going to see bungee here again, similar to in Movie. If you get caught underneath something while you're on your way back up from the bungee, it'll allow you to immediately dive again. And so Jack is going to be attempting a fast cycle here that makes use of that dive glitch in order to know exactly where all of those tikis are. The tikis are a lot harder to deal with than the targets in Movie because their hitboxes are funky. And so the nice thing, though, is that because of a glitch we're going to be doing later, we actually have to grab one less pinwheel during this segment. So it's going to actually make the cycle a lot more lenient here. So normally you have to go down that hallway to grab that pinwheel, but we're not going to have to worry about it. Good save.
That chuck is terrifying at times, especially in this spot. Because if you get knocked off the level, you have to redo all of the bungee segments you've done before.
And we're just gonna wait for the cycle. There we go.
Yeah, and he's also trying to hit some of these thunder tikis on the way up so that they're primed to detonate.
Nice.
Because you need to break all those tikis down there in order to activate the Mr. Krabs spatula here. Got the little damage booster, and we have six of these wheels right now. So the way that some of these like sub-collectible objectives work within a given level is that once you get all of them, you can turn them into an NPC and you'll get a spatula reward. But Jack is specifically collecting 6 because of something really cool that he can do with it called CCA, or collectible counter abuse, which we'll see in a moment. But we're gonna go ahead and come back with cruise missile, which is exactly what it says on the tin. But he hits it from the reverse side, which is a little bit faster.
Yeah, camera is always a little glitchy right there. But yeah, we're gonna work down to rock bottom and go for CCA.
Yeah, so what Jack is gonna do right here is he has 6 of those wheels, and for 1 frame, when you load into the level, it sort of thinks you have the same amount of collectibles as you did in that previous level if you're in. If you do like a cruise boost input, like the frame you come into the level. So he does another strat where he like pulls out the controller so it buffers a pause on the first frame he enters in. And we actually saw a variation of a cruise boost right there called a reverse cruise boost, or an RCB. In a RCB, what you do is you do it from the side so that the camera kind of makes SpongeBob turn early, and it actually cancels sort of the cruise missile animation part of the way through, which is just slightly faster. So you'll see another example of it right here. He kind of does that standing crouch, and then he starts moving. It's just a little optimization right there. He's going to talk to Bubble Buddy. That's going to give him a warp for after he grabs this next spatula right here. And so he's going to go through here, get a free sock. He activated sort of the slide time challenge here. But because he never crossed the trigger, he has infinite time to grab this spatula. And then right there, you saw that he did like kind of a random spin right there. Sometimes what can end up happening is like you can kind of store like momentum from vertical momentum from gravity while you have cruise boost active. And so when you spin, it resets that, so it makes certain platforming easier. We get a classic strat right there. Nice.
We're going to see an example of it in the teeter-totter platforms in Museum, which is one of my favorite segments. I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, and so it's really important whenever he has cruise boost momentum active while he grabs a spatula, the angle of your camera will actually determine SpongeBob's behavior after he grabs the spatula. Certain camera angles will cause him to sort of rotate around and keep him standing in a single place, and other ones will cause him to go straight forward in the direction the camera, the opposite direction of the camera. And so, or it'll have him move into the camera essentially. And so there are different like pros and cons to each, and you'll want different ones in different situations depending on the spatula and where you're headed next. So we're going to be doing Museum here. There's a bunch of laser arrays you're supposed to disable, but we're going to be skipping all of that by doing a ledge grab up here that's going to clip him through the lasers. Does another bash right there. That's going to get him further into another RCB. That's going to give him the cruise boost momentum. You'll see him do that spin he was talking about earlier to hopefully get off the teeter-totter into spatula. Nice.
So clean.
Very, very good Museum. Very difficult. Everything in there is on a cycle, so you want to nail that cruise boost at the start to make sure you can get the wall clip through the lasers. And he gets the sock perfectly nice.
There we go. And now we're going to be going into Kelp Forest.
I feel like there's a lot of Kelp Forest haters casually. I think this level is so cool casually. In the run as well, this is another example where like we can do the level backwards and it lets us break a lot of things. So
it's for sure the fastest level in the game. Like
it's so fun to run through too.
Yeah, no, we're basically just going to be going. In the old round, we would go into the Kelp Vine slide from backwards, but instead we're going to be going on a little bit of a route deviation. So I'm going to talk to Mrs. Puff, because she's trying to find all 6 campers who are lost in Kelp Forest. And we're going to be doing a very similar kind of like CCA application with, you know, transferring the steering wheel counter to the campers. But first I just got to get this sock that's in the goo.
Yeah, so you're supposed to get that with a freezy fruit. And so now he's going to go ahead and warp back, immediately leaves. He's going to unplug the controller to make sure he buffers that pause in the first frame of loading in. Gets the input first try, and he skips campers. Nicely done.
That was really clean.
It's worth noting that as far as I'm aware, that trick is not allowed for 100% because 100% considers like source requirement for getting all like campers and collectibles and stuff like that. So it's something we see in any percent, but not something you'd see in a 100% run. And so free spatula, we love to see it. And then one of my favorite strats, this is a slide segment that we're just going to completely avoid. We're going to get a time challenge here from Mermaid Man, and we're going to completely skip it. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to activate it by doing this weird kind of bash over the slide so it doesn't start taking us down the slide. Then we can take the cardboard box that we already have activated and then win, and then we just come back.
Yeah, and this slide is evil. Like, it's such a difficult level casually.
Yeah. Doing it casually in your hydrant, I was like, I never played battle casual as a kid, so I do it casually in your hydrant, and I was like, this is the worst.
Yeah, and then after we get this warp, we're going to get a classic Battle for Bikini Bottom line from Barnacle Boy.
Hey, kid.
There we go.
Hey, kid.
kid.
Hey, kid.
Had to make sure that played out a little bit. All right.
Yeah, so
gonna...
this entire section is intended to be played as Patrick, but all of these buttons you can just kind of hit with the cruise missile. So you get the spatula right here, and then Jack's going to be hopefully going for a setup after he sets up a cruise boost to basically die during the spatula animation for the one down by the cage, so that he can skip the damage. Because in this game you can't do like what you can do with Movie with token warp, so you have to come up with more creative ways to get some of these animation skips. That should work. Nice.
And then with that, we're going to go up to Mermalair.
All right. It's so funny too, because for the longest time, like this used to be like the classic mid game level, and now this is like the classic late game level. And I can still get tripped up by it. But this is where we get to see a lot of fun cruise boost movements. These cardboard boxes are really great for setting up cruise boost. He's gonna set up an RCB, get the animation cancel nice, and then we're just gonna have some fun movement through here. One of the cool things about the cruise boost movement is that because you're constantly being pushed forward, things like your bash and your ground pound have extra utility, because normally you're supposed to be stuck in place while doing a bash, right? But because the cruise boost is continuing pushing you forward, you essentially get a high jump with extra momentum now. And so we're going to use a combination of that and like extra extensions with the ground pound in order to skip some really big gaps through Mermalair here. So he's going to do a cruise boost off of Squidward, which is actually really hard because his hitbox is tiny. And he's going to do a big skip over here, ground pound to extend, nice, and then a really tricky bash to get up to this platform. He doesn't want to use the bubble bowl, because if he does, it'll cancel the cruise boost glitch. Into the cutscene trigger underneath the floor. Nice.
That was really clean.
Very clean.
All right.
Also coming up here is the prawn boss fight. A very similar way to how the Tenderizer boss fight works in True the Square. We're going to skip this whole boss fight without even fighting him. So Jack's going to get a cruise boost here and do what's called an L clip to clip out of bounds. And then he's going to navigate up the out of bounds collision and hit a dev trigger to beat the boss instantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so this game probably has the most of them. I think there's like 3. There might be another one I'm missing, but
3, I think.
Yeah,
It's
and we're
Prawn, Dutchman, and Robo Sponge.
Yeah, and so what Jack's going to do right here, you cannot use CCA for the buttons objective here, so he's going to hit that one with the cruise bubble in order to be able to grab that one without having to pay the clam gate. And so now he's going to go through security tunnel. I'm just going to let this speak for itself. This has some really fun cruise boost movement using the helmet bash. So
yeah, I'm gonna have to do a little bit of a cycle backup. There we go. All right, I'm gonna go for the bowling shot.
Downtown. Oh,
take 2.
It's so tough. It's like
the camera can actually affect, like, you could have the same lineup for where the bowl's gonna go, but your camera could actually just affect it whether it hits or not. The game is really weird.
All right.
Yeah.
And now we're gonna get to the rolling ball segment that we're gonna completely skip. So what we can do is if we wedge ourselves in between sort of like the machinery and the glass cage and do a cruise boost input, it can actually just L clip us right through first try. Beautifully done.
That was so clean.
Casual Special is like probably one of the worst, and like probably the one that people skip the most in their casual playthroughs.
Yeah.
They're just so not fun to do.
So what Jack's gonna do right here is set up a cruise boost so that when he gets the camera angle, it takes him through 2 spatulas at once, skipping one of the animations. Nicely done. And then he can pause immediately, and we're heading back to SpongeBob's Dream. We're gonna go ahead and grab the rolling ball spatula, which is a lot faster to grab in late game because we can just do this. It's possible to get that without using cruise boost, but it's just a bit faster. And now we're gonna head into Squid's Dream. Depending on how quickly he can get his cruise boost set up will determine which cycle he can go for here. You got to first try cruise boost, so that'll put him on optimal cycle. If you get through here quickly enough, not only can you grab the cycle on fast enough, but you can also grab a sock along the way too, which is really nice for routing as well. And then he has to do a jump to maintain control, because again, he's fighting the momentum he has during the cruise boost. And then he's going to go up into Squidward's nose. Nicely done. Great Squid Stream. That's a cruise boost fundies check, is what I would say. Like, it just it is very much how good are you at cruise boosting.
And then we're gonna do RCB right here. We're gonna get the dumpster sock, a very out of the way one that I just missed when I was younger playing this game.
Now we're going into Dutchman. This is like the classic finale level. He's going to start by getting a cruise boost right here on a very small wall. It's pretty tricky to set up. And then right here, this piece of geometry ebbs and flows with the tide, so he has to get there quickly enough so that he can make the jump without issue. And he's going to set up next to this rock, because sending your cruise missile doesn't actually cancel your cruise boost. It's just sending out a bowl input. So he hits that switch right there, which is going to cause the goo levels to go down. It's going to allow us to do goo cage later and also access this hidden spatula over here. And so again, he's setting up his camera so that when he gets into here, it'll turn him into the side here so he doesn't die to the goo, so that he can use the trampoline with the cruise boost momentum to make his way toward the end of the first section of the level.
Gonna do a little bit of a turnaround on the trampoline, make sure that I'm like angled correct before I hit it. And then
You're gonna grab the goo tanker spatula?
yeah, I'm getting I'm getting goo cage clip at the end, doing Dutchman fight.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that route change.
Yeah, we get to see the Dutchman fight. That's something you don't really see too often in 90% these days, because it's not fast, but I like doing it. It's a really cool skip.
It's like the El Clasico of this game. All right, so we're going to do another cruise boost off of Squidward right here. And this is going to be similar to what we did in JF, where because Hans is disabled, we can just grab this spatula in the bungee. And then once we grab it, we can then warp to that spatula location, getting us out of this pit. And then this is going to be the first and probably only time we see what's called a manual cruise boost, where we have to manually detonate the cruise missile in order to get the glitch to work. And then hopefully we get front side here. That would be really hype.
You know what?
Back up? The backup? Maybe?
Hey,
we got the backup. That's right. It's kind of brutal.
Yeah, boat bash is quite difficult.
Yeah, and then he has to get a very specific camera angle there, so the cruise boost takes him into the lamppost so that he doesn't fall off, because he wants to go into the two ships up here. So normally the way this area is supposed to work is you're supposed to disable a laser defense array on the other ship and then hit all 4 of these cannons in order to clear this area and grab the spatula. But instead what we're going to just do is hit all 4 of this. Save? Oh, great save. God. Nice. He was going for kind of the new school hard strat. This is like the traditional strat. Because we have the cruise boost momentum, we can just kind of make our way up here without having to go back and forth and use Sandy to make our way up here. We hit all the buttons, then we're going to hit the last of these right here. And weirdly enough, if you try to fire the cannons to break the ship, it won't work because the laser defense array is still up, right? But so long as you just hit the button inside the chest, it will activate the warp to the Dutchman fight. And it's just kind of a nice little oversight, so we don't have to visit the other side of the ship. Now, normally you would like go over there a little bit in 100% because there's a sock over there, but you still wouldn't break the laser array. So,
yeah,
nice little time save right there. He's going to get another spatula at the crow's nest of this ship right here, and then he's going to warp to Dutchman, where we're going to see Dutchman skip. So I'll kind of set it up in advance. Dutchman skip, similar to prawn skip, where there's a trigger left in by the devs above the start of the map that will instantly clear and hit the end level cutscene for that mini boss. And so what Jack is going to do is he's going to set up an RCB and use all of this shipwreck stuff over here in order to make his way up here. I didn't quite get that up there. The nice thing is that there's a lot of ways to back this up. So there's a big hill over here that you can use. So going to go over front side this time. He has a specific setup he does where he locks himself inside the little bit of that splinter right there. And he's going to get all the way up to the top here. And then he can do a double jump spin with the cruise boost momentum. Hit the trigger right there. And he's going to go ahead and cancel the cruise. He's going to cancel the cruise boost because he's going to... This warp immediately takes you right next to Goo Cage. and that's going to be the next spatula that he grabs. And then spatula number 75 will be the Patrick sock. So we're going to see a really cool strat right here. I'm just going to let it speak for itself.
Put up the angle. Oh, okay.
I was going to be mad if you got that set up to work. Not going to lie.
Man.
There we go.
Yeah, so if you dash into like your bowl projectile, like close enough to the top of the cage there, it actually clips SpongeBob's hitbox ever so slightly into the spatula inside there, which lets you. So that's normally like a SpongeBob rolling ball time challenge sort of thing that you can just skip completely by doing that. And so now we have 75 spats, so we got another RCB right here, so that this cutscene takes us right into that thing right there. And then he goes into the trigger. And so we got another skip here with a dev trigger. He's going to start by doing 2 hits to the boss right here in order to sort of stun him. Then he's going to hit the Roboplankton here. And then when this platform gets karate chopped, if he jumps at the right time, boom, the boss is done.
There we go.
All right.
Wait for my character to land. Then here we go.
Now we're going to go do brain surgery. This is the final strat of the run. He's going to set up a cruise boost and then hopefully use the trampoline to set up for a jump refresh right there that gets him to land. And now he's going to L-clip inside of SpongeBob's brain.
Whoa.
And instead of hitting it with the cruise missile, he can just clip inside and hit all of these fuses from the inside. Time for not only this segment of the run, but the whole showcase is coming up very soon. It's going to be on the final fuse breaks. He's going to do a couple more hits, a L-clip right here to get back out of bounds. Get ready on time. Time.
Right there.
Very nice.
That was. I'm very happy with how that went.
That was spicy. Good job, dude.
Appreciate
final
it.
boss, like in SpongeBob's brain, just clipping in and everything. That was absolute nonsense, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, neurosurgery is such a wild strat. I'm so happy that it's just kind of we've optimized it to a point where it's like it speeds up that boss fight so much.
I'm looking at the timer. It looks like, and this is obviously a rough estimate because, you know, online, but I'm looking at a 3:13:38.
I'm pretty happy with that. That's only about 2 minutes off my current PB for Heavy Iron, no major skips.
You know what the actual? You have a stat for the actual battle time?
I guess it's 52.
Go back to what we started.
We can do some mathematics.
I think in 52 or 53 for battle.
We finished at 2:20:54 for the second segment. If we just take that time and subtract it from the 3:13, we got. I have to math. Oh no.
Oh no, not the math.
Hey, worse than death.
3:13:30. But not 27. Yeah, it's something like 52 something.
Hey, we take the 52 is pretty good.
52 is really good.
It's approximately a 52:44.
Nice. That's a solid run right there.
That is wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Overall, very solid run there for sure.
I just Amber, thank you so much for having us on. This was an absolute blast. Yeah, I don't know. Can I get some shout outs?
Yeah, absolutely. This is your time to shout out, tell people what you do, who you are, all that good stuff too.
Sounds good. I'm Jack. I run the Heavy Iron SpongeBob games, and I just I love optimizing these and just trying my best, having fun, like doing runs with friends. And as far as shout outs go, like shout outs to Cornbread, Sam, and Jaxler for being on the mic for this. Like I can't thank you guys enough for being here.
Of course. Thanks for having us.
No problem. I got a big shout out to my brother for letting me set up my whole stream setup over here just to get an Ethernet for the stream.
Shouts to Pat.
We love Pat.
Shout outs to Jessway for being the first person to do a Heavy Iron race with me. Banette, frickin' Tedious for starting this whole shtick of running the Heavy Iron games. Cloudhouse, just everybody, just thank you so much for being incredible people, and I didn't get to see chat, but I hope you all had a really fun time in chat for this showcase.
Yeah, on a similar note, I wanted to shout out, we had a lot of SpongeBob folks, not only just for specific games, but from the community in general, just come out of the woodwork for this as well. I see some friends of yours from IRL as well. So, Jack, great job. Everyone really enjoyed it. And
I want to give one more shout out to my friend Nolan for letting me borrow his 360 because my 360 broke, and so he's let me use his in order to do Truth or Square Run. So that run would not be possible without him.
I gotta give a shout out to the squadron, of course. It wouldn't be right if I didn't shout out the squadron. So shout out to the squadron.
I just want to give a big shout out to the whole SpongeBob community as well. If you're interested in running any of these games, we have different Discords for individual games. So we have one for Truth or Square, we have one for Battle for Bikini Bottom, and we have one for Movie as well. You can find links to them on speedrun.com, or if you're having trouble finding them, just reach out to one of us and we'd be happy to get you connected. This community is really great. We're just a bunch of nerds who really like these games. So if you're looking for a good place to get started with speedrunning, these are all 3 great games to get started with speedrunning with if you're looking for a 3D platformer run. So we really hope you all consider joining the community. And I also just want to shout out Jack for allowing me to bully him into submitting this. So
It wouldn't have happened without Jaxler.
Yeah, I had Jaxler on my show sometime in June, I want to say.
Something like that.
I think it was June, and it was for Vex and Whiplash. And I was like, do you know of any runners that you'd like to recommend to the show? And he goes, yeah, my friend Jackalaka does the Heavy Iron Trilogy of SpongeBob games. I was like, submit it. I'm all ears. Submit it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's been one of my favorite runs for so long. So I appreciate Jaxler kind of sending my name over to you. Thank you so much, Amber.
Oh, absolutely. And that goes for everyone else in chat. If you know someone who runs really cool things or, has like really cool passion projects, not even necessarily a multi-game speedrun. This is our second multi-game speedrun we've ever featured on the on Passion Project. But, there's a whole variety of things I take. Randomizers, bingos, stuff like that. I've even had a tutorial on. I'm a little bit of everything here. Yes, we have dedicated shows for a lot of awesome things. Submit to those as well, like Mercy Kill, Random Number Generation, How to Train a Speedrunner, all sorts of other shows that you should check out at GameSunQuick/Hotfix. If you want to check out what kind of list of shows we got, that's pretty cool. We got some new shows that have just come on as well. But feel free to submit to Passion Project if there is a game that you've been actively working on or a project you've been actively working on. I'd love to have you on. And thank you all again for being on tonight. It's been a really fun time. The commentary, phenomenal. The runs, smooth. You can't ask for better, really.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having us again.
Absolutely. So to wrap things up, if you are watching this video on YouTube, be sure to press the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel. Also go to twitch.tv/GamesDoneQuick if you are interested in looking at our live content. We start that weeknights at 7 p.m. Eastern and weekends around 1 p.m. Eastern, but definitely come check us out. And also tune in tomorrow for the first step at 7 p.m. Eastern with an episode 2 years in the making. Use !Metroid Prime in the chat to learn more about that. Until then, though, please do look after yourselves and your loved ones. Just drink some water, stretch your legs, eat a snack, take your medicine or your vitamins if you need to, and remember that you are valid and deserve all the best. Send all this wonderful, positive energy over to our raid target for tonight, and have a great rest of your night. Bye!